No, very, very, very busy at this time of day. And hi, everybody. How are we doing today? Are we doing well? Is the music playing?
Morning, evening.
I think I need to turn the music up. Turn the music up. Turn the music
say
up.
morning and evening. You missed me out.
Up.
It's afternoon. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
He ignored me. Maybe this will help.
Music is playing.
Rayron deserves what he gets. That bastard Rayron deserves to die.
Annoyingly catchy.
So catchy.
Bastard Rayron deserves what he gets.
On an off-stream game, this got brought up because of how catchy it is. Someone just started humming it.
It is. It is. It's disgusting.
Talking about DJ Mason.
Oh, that's
I'd just like to say, any other people making deals with devils are poor imitations.
Neil, what are you doing to your microphone right now?
I got it right in my
I noticed. Neil's like, hold on, let me
Did you like that? You
I
like
need to
this?
talk to my microphone. Hold on.
You feel like I'm Batman and you're
Meow. Meow.
Sorry everyone who didn't enjoy that. Scott loves it. He's asking me for it all the time.
Yeah, it
I
was
very much just ignored what was happening.
He's depraved.
I am. I'm quite depraved of sleep.
Oh, I noticed Steve dropped some bits before. So are you going to go? Are you gonna tell chat what your idea was?
No.
Don't worry, I'll do it for you. In keeping with the current Twitch meta, the channel Daelric will now, when you gift a sub, he'll be writing your name on the green screen. If you gift 5 subs or more, he'll be writing it on a part of his body.
I like it.
Also, maybe some hot tub streams coming up where I'm still we're
looking into the logistics, because we're all gonna have to get a hot tub, and that of course has its own issues.
You want me to write on the green screen?
To be honest, they have been using kiddie pools, so maybe that will be an easier option for us.
Yeah.
No, for it to be a hot tub, do you put like a
alright,
fire
So
under
remember,
the kiddie pool?
5 subs or more, you choose where you want it. We'll write your name.
My thought.
I think it's really important that you guys, really support the hot tub stream, because you got to understand that.
I never
when
realized
Jake
how
and Tesh,
long of a
they
name
get-
Silencio Steve was.
when they get their hot tubs out, they're gonna have to be checking it for crocs every single morning. Like the dangerous business. You can't just have a pool of unattended water in Australia. Oh my god. Spiders on the surface, snakes in the middle, crocs at the bottom. You blink and that's it.
You scared Green off. Let's just say, Jake, you personally scared Green off. He didn't already have plans to do something else this morning. It's not.
Oh my god.
Okay, we've got our first
There
fire.
we go.
Scott, take it away.
Stop.
We need to know which area that V Sword Dancer needs to be written.
Oh boy. I did not agree to these terms. Across the face. Walk into work. Why does it say V Sword Dancer on your forehead?
Well,
I'm like,
Look, Scott, do you want to make it to the front page of Twitch or not?
Yeah, you gotta make it big, Scott. Come on, sacrifices. What I'd like to see, and we'll see whether V Sword agrees with this. I'd like a really big V, and then the sword dancer to be nice and small. So he's just walking around with a huge V on his forehead.
So Neil, you're saying you want a really big V on your forehead? Is that what you're telling us?
Your forehead, yeah.
Okay, just wanted to be sure. Anyways, wow.
So that happened.
Yeah. I've been on the front page of Twitch before, by the way. I actually have. When we did the charity stream in Florida with Messi, we're on the front page of Twitch for about an hour and 45 minutes until fucking Florida had one of their dry thunderstorms and power went out. And so all of a sudden we lost their support from all, and I tried like messaging the various got 0 because they'd set things up in advance for us to be on the front page of Twitch and for us to be like rated by twitch.tv/D&D and stuff like that. All that stuff was lost. And then let's see, we got what was I saying afterwards? On Maggie's channel, there were a few times on Maggie's channel when we were playing Warhammer, where just by coincidence of the day of the week, the time of the day, it just happened to be the most viewed one, so it got to be on the front page of Twitch, and most viewed of that topic. There was something else too. I can't remember what it was. I was on. I was never on Lost Initiative or Daelric though. So, anyways. All right, so back to game.
Norway wants his name on the green screen.
I actually already wrote it. Can you see it? Can you see it's actually, I already took care of that one. The joke is that they're staring at a green screen.
They got it.
Okay. Oh, well, they see a black screen. You know what I mean?
I understand that.
Okay, so let's make sure we're all on the same page. All right, so
I thought it's just because you'd written it in black ink.
So, where do we leave off? Jake, you want to fill us in?
So we had a week of leave, which we used for various purposes. I'm taking the reins on this one. Sorry, boys.
None of you guys
got
actually took
Scott
leave.
by the buttocks, and so we were given a week of leave.
No, when you grabbed my buttocks,
and,
did you see V-Sword written on it?
No, wrong head.
So many people have called me like an ass face before. I just thought, shithead. No. Okay,
Scott, quiet time now. So Viggo spent his time making various potions to help us in the Barren Lands, including a huge stockpile of cure light wound potions, so healing potions for each of us. I think each of us have 7. To go along with this, he also gave us a gift of Masterwork potion belts, which are exquisite. However, we're perhaps not quite aware of the sheer cost of them, but they allow us to use them at quick notice. And what he also did was he coupled this up with some research looking into the area of the Barren Lands we're going and the Mole Ruins. And what he was able to discover was some various landmarks that previous explorers have discovered that are going to help us in identifying and locating these ruins once we find the first of these landmarks. So it's going to be a big +4 on whatever we're rolling there. Tesh, on the other hand, Gallon decided to be another mix of things, and so he chose to do some research, and he was researching into the Kuruks, if I recall correctly.
Fighting style and stuff like that.
And so he did some book learning, and he didn't really find out much from that. And so he went ahead and he hired a mercenary from Kajinksi, a half-orc, the biggest one he could find, and sparred with him. And learned a bit about some of the fighting styles that he might encounter. However, Tristan got a little bit involved. Jesus Christ.
Oh my
God. Get a marker.
Yeah, he's gone to get a marker back. God, I'd love that, Jay. That would just tickle me so much. Tris was there and said, actually, orcs are quite short. They're a bit squatter. They've not got the huge nutrition in the Barren Lands. They don't grow to massive sizes. And they also, no, he went and got socks. That's not what people want, Scott.
My feet are cold. They're mismatched too, just to save time.
Oh God. And so Tris discussed this with him and then attempted to help him, and they did a bit of sparring together, where they did some of the low, sweeping, perhaps berserker style cuts that you might expect from these Karuk warriors who are shorter and also more likely to throw caution to the wind and not adhere to like a martial training style. it's like self-taught. Tracer, on the other hand, sort of relaxed and did very little, other than towards the end of the week where he came and helped Galen with that. And that was sort of it. I suppose I skipped over. Prior to the week, we were given the mission to head into the Barren Lands. We may take a boat, or we may go on foot or horse, and travel to mole ruins, which we are to clear out. The current working theory or plan is that the mole ruins provide an area for the Crook to live, stage, and perhaps prep an assault on Peridel. So because there's a slight risk of this, we're going to go there and slaughter them all like the imperial bastards we are. And that's it. It was a lot of prep last session. We made some alterations to armor, got lots of potions, and now I think we're pretty much ready. We need to make the decision about whether or not we're taking a boat, and also our team name. We're pretty much ready to head into the Barren Lands. I quite like Kingfishers, or the Kingfishers, because
I'm still with Viggo's Vixens. I'm just.
I mean, that's fair enough.
I'm willing to put it to a poll and spend all of my channel points, of which there are many.
Because I quite like the nod to the River King included in that, and also the fact that we're clearly not just a war party, right?
Yeah.
And have you ever seen a kingfisher going to war? I, for one, have not. But I have seen one catch fish quite effectively. They're beautiful birds.
I like the name. I think we should wait.
They're beautiful color too.
Sure.
They are, yeah.
But
I've never actually. I wasn't. See, I think Fisher cat when I hear Fisher. So now I'm looking at the kingfisher, the bird, and wow, it is
like this blue turquoise. Gold. It's beautiful birds.
It's genuinely like a beautiful, beautiful creature.
I saw one we go for walks at this place regularly. I saw one there, not this morning, but weeks ago, months ago actually now. But I saw one there on a branch, and it went, whoosh, came out with a fish back onto the branch. Tiny little fish, of course.
Yeah. I can see it. It's a very small bird.
Yeah.
So funny the way their head and everything, the beak, the head and everything. I mean, granted, it looks like it's a very small bird, but it makes me think of a what are they called? Now I can't think of what the hell they're called, but they always make me laugh because their hair looks like Trump's hair. I can't think of it, unfortunately. Tess, you were saying something? Like Kookaburra?
I like the name.
Kookaburra. Their head makes you think of a Kookaburra.
Kookaburra.
Sure, whatever it is.
Kookaburra.
I see them at zoos occasionally. So to which I don't go to very often because of COVID.
Kookaburras are adorable.
Yeah. Are they from Australia?
They're loud. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
loud as fuck.
I see them at zoos, but with the origin, I don't remember them. There's a lot of animals at a zoo. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're very much Australian.
Yeah, they are close to over where you see the wallaby. So I suppose that makes sense. You were saying something before, Tesh.
All I was saying is I like the name Kingfishers too, but I think we should wait until after this mission to decide in case like this. We haven't been together long enough to have repetitions to give us a name idea other than just our origin at the moment.
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm down for that. I'm more than happy to wait, but I warn you that we're going to turn into a bloodbath very shortly. When we arrive at these current ruins, there's been a trump card. What do you think is going to happen? Let's be very clear here.
It might give us a better name. You don't know. We might get a trauma name.
Hello, we are the Blood River.
Think of it like
Crimson Sea.
The Mandalorian and getting the seal. It's like waiting till there's a reason to get the seal.
Yeah. No, I agree. I totally agree.
It could very well be Kingfishers. That could end up being it. But let's just wait a little longer.
Or you guys could always be known as the Wet Dock. No, not the Wet Dock.
I thought that was your name. I thought that was your name.
Let's.
You bring the ship right in.
Also,
Level
chat is popping
4.
off right now. Yeah,
Level
chat
4.
is popping off right now.
Yeah. What's this new emo? Is it another dog?
So we
another dog.
did decide that we were going over land, I believe.
Oh, Vsod.
At least
Yeah. Did we decide we would go by land? I'm not sure we did.
to get to the river, and then like whether we go in via boat or along the shore.
Oh yeah, well we have to travel to.
Yeah, I'm getting the map up now.
Yeah, are you typing it? Thanks.
Is it D before H or
D.
H before?
D before H. Always start with the D.
Yeah.
You won't forget it. You won't forget it now, will you?
Yeah, no, now I won't.
Unless you're Batman. In which case,
Aurorum. We're
Yeah.
traveling to Aurorum first.
Yeah, we're going to Orod, and then we're probably going to potentially get a boat from there, depending on. I guess it's Viggo's decision ultimately, but we seemed pro that for the purpose of supplies.
Yeah, and like we'd leave the guards for the boat on the boat to guard the boat while we go into the ruins, if that's what ends up happening.
correct.
That was one plan.
And so the taking the boat, so on and so forth. You guys get to make that last decision at the ends there when you actually meet inside Orod.
Orod, yep.
Yep. The last real question is when you're heading from Maglin over to Orod, are you going to take a boat down to Garasva?
I think we said we were
hi,
going
Rory.
by land. I think that was our decision.
I'm so sorry. What were you looking for? Oh, is Mummy not upstairs? Oh, she must have just left for a walk then, because I've been down here for a short period of time, and she was upstairs just a bit ago. She must have just left for a walk. Do you want me to come help you for a second? I'm sorry, everybody. One moment. Brittany must have just left, and poor Rory woke
Of
up.
course.
One moment.
Oh, you baby.
Entertain them.
Go. Get out of here.
Okay, so I think what he was going to say is we can choose to go via the Maglin down to Goroshva. I'm probably saying that wrong. And then up the stream that way, as in like take.
Oh,
go by
right, yeah.
water.
Personally, I
Or
would
we
just
could
say
go
let's
straight
take,
to Orod.
let's take the bloody road. It's a direct
Yeah,
route.
I say let's go to
faster,
Orod.
right?
Yeah.
I
If
mean,
we were in a place
I've got a
that
horse
wasn't-
anyway. You can hire or requisition.
Yeah, if we weren't in
like
Dwayne,
Percy, by the way,
I'd
he's
say
real.
take the water because then we'd have authority. But since it is in Dwayne
Yeah,
anyway,
it's
I'd
all
say
in
let's go
doing.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
take
There's
land.
I see very little reason not to.
Oh, I see reason. I see reason that he's going to make chat roll a dice to see if something happens. But I'm okay with that. Actually, he may not do that. He may just have something happen because of circumstances that have happened.
So there's, I like that bopper, mate. So there's the
That
benefits.
emote is
of
amazing.
the benefits of taking a boat are, we have a place to keep supplies safe, many supplies,
Yeah.
more than we would be able to carry on for.
A quick escape. Well, quicker escape, as in like it's a pretty surefire way to leave the region.
Yeah, but like, say we have to turn the boat or something, we'd certainly need to be prepped if we want to be making a quick
Oh
escape.
no,
in a
yeah,
boat.
like I what I mean is like if we know we're going into a situation we may need to leave from.
It makes it easier to make a running escape, like where we're fighting as we go, because you can fight on the deck and other people will do the work on the boat.
Yes, I agree.
If needs be.
But
The
there will be no
downside,
stealth.
the
People will know we're
downside
there.
is, there will be no stealth. The downside is that if we lose the boat, if it gets burnt or drowned,
we pay.
then it will. We won't pay, but it will
It's a
affect
note on our
Viggo's. It will
record,
affect
yeah.
Viggo's standing. Yeah.
Oh, Viggo.
Yeah.
Explicitly
also-
Viggo's as the commanding officer.
Yeah.
Specifically, the fact that it's there and there are supplies means it's a target, and it will almost undoubtedly come under attack. Like
The
that
old
is
man
almost
is
like a
burning
guarantee that it
random
will.
stuff again.
Oh.
I'm like, I
Like-
just want my window open because it's like 27, 28 degrees here, and there's just smoke coming in because it's not got a chimney and it's illegal. Oh my god, I am so triggered by this, man.
But yeah, so as I was saying, the boat's almost guaranteed to get attacked. It's whether we think we can, we and the soldiers can defend it easily.
Well, not only that, it's of my opinion that the boat will be attacked when we're not there. Could be attacked when we're there,
probably.
but when we're not, and
That's
when
more
we're
likely,
not
is that
there,
way,
it's
yeah.
out of our hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. It's whether we can trust that our soldiers will be able to defend it, not just us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we can make it harder for us in the short term by making it a no boat and supply, and we.
I mean,
do the
let's
track.
not have any illusions. Like metagame here, we're going to be attacked because we ate a trump card, right?
Even not metagame, Galen would be 100% sure that we will be attacked because we have supplies and they need it.
I know we have supplies, but it depends on the size of the amount of Karuk there.
Well,
Because attacking a boat in a river is not the easiest because you have to swim and climb. So you'd have to do it at night if you don't want to be shot as you're swimming, right? Or dive. In which
Yeah.
case they're going to see you as soon as you start climbing up. You just go thunk or thunk, So it'd have to be a night raid, which of course is possible and is worth noting. Although our characters might not know, Karuk have low light vision, don't they? Or dark vision. Yeah, exactly. So a night raid is in fact the significantly most likely. And if we try to only go into the ruins during the day and make sure we're back for nights, unless we're taking lots of damage in the ruins.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's definitely a risk if we take the boat. It'd be a beneficial risk, but it'd be a risk.
I mean, of course it's a risk, but like it's a risk us going in there, and it's a risk like if we're going in there, we'll need to be on horses, right? Because we can't trek all that way through the barren lands.
Yeah,
And
that's true
how are
as
you
well.
guys in terms of riding skill? Because I'm confident that Triss will not be unhorsed by anything.
Where is ride skill? Well, I have a +3. That's not too bad.
But if we get ambushed and you fail your DC and the horse throws you or something,
Yeah. Well, actually, I can actually get a. Let me do math. So I have an extra 10 foot. I can get 20 foot. I can technically get myself to 60 foot move speed. So I can probably keep up.
not with a horse. No.
So what's the horse's max move speed?
So Karok's base move speed is
I don't know how horses work. If they've got an extra perk
is
for like.
is 100.
Oh, okay. So they're more than 5e. Okay. So
Oh,
no,
sorry,
I-
70. 70 on land.
70. Okay, that's only a little faster
So
than.
as
me.
soon as he starts running, it goes to ×4. It's 280.
Yeah, but running works for me as well. So, but so I'm saying this is not me. This is me putting it as an option.
Yeah,
that if I do get
horsed,
dehorsed, I can up my move speed to 60 per thing.
There is just like a vicious spider bop war going on right now.
Yeah, there really is. But then Viggo, how are you with horses? With a horse?
I mean, I have a 2 riding skill, but
So less than.
the thing
Yeah,
being is like in character, I don't particularly want to because I don't want to be a Metahina, and I don't want the strike if we lose this boat. However, I also understand the benefits the boat can have.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm still undecided, but he doesn't want to, but he will if, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it might be that when we get to Arod, our whatever advisor there gives us more information that will inform the decision.
I think the other thing also could be I'm fairly confident in fort saves, and fort saves are what he always makes us do when riding distance.
I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that for like extended riding, not just riding?
Yeah, that's well.
I
That,
don't
if we have to do extended riding.
But so yeah, like because it's your fortitude save against the weather, your exhaustion for riding all day,
Yeah.
whatever. Fort is my best save, but
Same.
Mine as well.
it is a bit risky to just bank on that, innit?
No, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm
also
I'm
we're
just trying
traveling
to
on
think of-
foot through the Barrenlands, which is not a great
Not a
idea.
I
as
mean,
well.
Actually, that's
I
good
wouldn't be
point.
on foot. Like,
Yeah, if we do have
Yeah.
horses, then those are also a target.
true. But if they have any form
think-
of horse,
I
then
think
that
when we
makes you an
get to
even
Aurora-
greater target, right?
Yeah, I think when we get to Aurorum, we ask for advice because I think the way we have it, we have a lot of positive and negatives for both. I think we're leaning towards boat, but that's only slightly leaning towards boat, and so I think we go find out and get some more. information
Yeah.
on
I
it.
mean, I'm happy with either. I think, because either way, I'm fast. Like, I'm either going to be able to run away or fight. The risk is like supply. I mean, we're going to be traveling up a river anyway because we need the fresh water.
Yeah, it's just whether we travel on the bank or on the water.
Yeah.
Water is easier defended, but also harder to hide.
But yeah, I mean, I might suggest if they're willing to lend you a boat, are they willing to lend you a horse?
I mean,
I don't
assume
think
that-
it'd be an issue to get a horse.
Exactly, because
Yeah, I
because
assume
it
that
would be
we'd be able
much
to
better
travel
if
by
we
horse.
were to go on foot to actually go on horseback. Because
I
I mean, or
I
even
actually just assumed that's what
muleback
we'd
or
be
whatever.
doing.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
you just need something to take the strain of the travel for you.
Yeah, especially with you being what you are, us being on horseback gives us a benefit, a massive benefit.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, it just means that like there'll be encounters where we see something and we can just run around it or away from it. You know, like if you're on foot, you're not going to keep up with a horse.
The other thing is though, if we encounter terrain that we can't get over with the horses, you can get your horse over, but we can't get ours over.
Yeah, but what are we actually thinking to encounter that's going to impede a horse in the
Cliff
Barrenlands?
face.
Bearing in mind it's like a desert.
I thought it was just very harsh. I didn't believe that it was like flat.
It is barren.
It's like devoid of life.
Yeah, that
More
can
or
still
less.
have many cliffs and rocky
Yeah,
areas.
but if
there's lots
you
of
look-
craggy areas.
If
throughout
you,
the
if you look on the
Barrenlands.
map, there's a huge amount of craggy areas in the northeast of it, bordering Ladino. Like there's
I
mountain
guess, yeah,
or
this is
hilly
where
regions
my
there.
knowledge of the geography doesn't work.
Whereas the
Pays
map
off.
the map shows us that it's reasonably flat land. Reasonably.
Okay,
That doesn't mean
well,
that there's
I mean-
but like things that horses won't be able to deal with are rare.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of more things to put to either of the things. It would also depend what type of boat and how much supplies we can have.
And the crew on it.
Yes, very much so. I think we'd only really be able to do it if we believed that the crew could hold, at the very least, hold off on attack until we get there.
Well, what I would, if we do take the boat, we'll be taking the 6 soldiers, but their mission will be to guard the boat.
Yeah,
If
no,
it looks
I
like
100%
if it looks
agree.
like they are facing like overwhelming odds, or they don't like their chances, I would say for them to take the boat back.
That's
actually a
that's
good point,
actually
yeah.
a good shout. Yeah, I mean, like if we had 6 soldiers, 6 archers or crossbowmen, people equipped with ranged weapons, and obviously also you have a melee weapon, but like on a boat in a river, people have to wade in, people have to swim. That's a huge deterrent. Like
Yeah,
obviously you
you're
want to
right.
raid, you want to get supplies, you want to kill and eat these people, whatever. But if you die, you're not going to be doing any of that. It is a deterrent.
That's actually a very good point. Is once they let us onto shore, they could very much pull back and anchor for. Well, I say anchor. I assume it's something like that. Towards the middle of the river, rather if it gets that wide down there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Safe
That
to say,
might-
no way will be without danger. 100%
No,
correct.
of course
There
not,
is
but
no right
yeah.
choice.
I think that's probably, in my opinion, the best current.
I think
option.
we go with that unless we hear more info at Orod.
We gotta stop the bug spam now, guys. It's too much. Like, what if someone
calm it
joins
down.
chat with arachnophobia? You know, we're just gonna have to ban you.
Oh god, I've been playing Fallout 76, and they have
Are there
some
spiders in that?
So, there was something that looks like the horrific cross between a bee and a spider. Still only got 6 legs, but it's like crawling around like a spider with a giant abdomen, and it was
Nice.
fucking horrifying.
I can't remember. I can't remember a mob like that in Fallout 76. I played quite a lot of 76.
It was up near a campground, and it had like royal honey and royal jelly was something that dropped. It's fucking terrifying.
Do we, as a thought, do we have torches or lanterns?
I do. I'm pretty sure I have torches at least. Let me have a look. Wait, no, never mind. No, I don't.
Neither do I, because going into ruins potentially, we really ought to have a source of light. Huh?
I'm pretty sure we can get that provided. That's a small thing.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to get some torches.
That's a good thing to
Imagine if
note,
the military
though.
can't provide a lantern or some torches.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking, do we have rope? I've got some silk rope.
It's another thing we can ask for with the
I have
like the
50
pins.
foot of normal rope.
Cool.
When you have
Nice.
silk rope, is that like spider silk rope, or is that like from inchworms? Like what do you get? Like silkworms? Where do you get the silk rope from?
It's from caterpillars.
Oh, it's caterpillar silk rope?
As on my walk this morning, we were walking along and there was just a caterpillar just hanging there on a thread of silk.
Hmm.
And then we looked up and right onto this bush, and it was covered in caterpillar silk.
You guys
covered.
don't have gypsy moth, do you?
I'm unsure whether it was. At any rate, I saw it and I was like, "Let's move," because it can cause respiratory issues, right?
Actually, I don't know anything about that. Yeah.
But
But gypsy moth is an issue in like Rhode Island and southern Massachusetts and stuff like that. It's an invasive species from part of Asia. I can't remember where in Asia, and it's an ongoing thing out here where we have to destroy trees, like large swaths of trees to destroy the invading species because they have no natural predator and they are just taking out trees over here. It's so bad, but.
huh.
Yeah.
Neil, Jake made sun rods.
He made some
I remember
cool.
that. Yeah. So we're going by land, Scott, to Orod.
No sunrods, Tesh.
No sun rods.
I didn't have time. I only had time to
Oh,
make the
never mind
sponge.
then. We can get torches or lanterns and stuff. Like
Just saying.
that, I assume we can get that with our basic supplies, like our tents and stuff.
Percy and I just yawned in sync.
Did you hear that, Scott? That we're going by land to at least to get to Orod.
Okay, I heard you. Yep, sorry.
There was a really long delay there. I was like,
Oh no. I realized afterwards that you were talking to me because previously you were talking to Jake, and Neil.
Oh.
So yep, awesome. Sorry about that. She must have come downstairs. We're talking. Brittany walking out the door must have woke her up. She checked around the house, came downstairs, and so I had to, say, okay, good morning, sweetheart. Talk for a couple minutes. Then it's, brush her teeth. Well, she brushed her teeth. While I wash her favorite cup and get her water, make her some oatmeal. Can you make it soupy? Get a show started for her, stuff like that. So get her morning started.
It's fine. We had a good long talk about our options, so it was good. We got to have a good think about stuff. We're still gonna want to listen to advice on Orod if someone there has better advice.
Sure.
But yeah.
Sure. Cool. Awesome. So I don't expect to get interrupted again, but Brittany usually likes to go for. She starts her day with like about an hour-long walk that she intermittently jogs in, or she's like integrating jogs in, I should say. So Rory might come down again, but speaking of being distracted by little girls,
Different interrupt.
Hi, Chloe.
Wow. Oh.
They set the cat on fire.
Anyway.
Don't get no water. Let that motherfucker burn. Burn, motherfucker. Burn, mother. No? All right.
You may appreciate this for creature design, Scott, while he's gone. Because of the bug spam in chat, and they were talking about spiders, I got reminded of I just started playing Fallout 76, and the most horrifying creature I've come across was like a bee walking around like a spider, like a giant, massive bee, like I want to say about the size of a cow, but with like
Jesus.
big spider legs, only 3 of each because it's still like a bee,
Yep.
And then a giant like oversized abdomen, and it kept spitting out bees, like
Spitting
swarms
out
of
bees? Now, if it's walking around like a spider, is this going to give Sir Keegan fear of bees now?
If they have arachnophobia, yeah. I thought it was a spider at first till I realized it was a fucking bee.
I think Sir Keegan has like left the Discord for months at a time because people would like spell out most of the word spider, but like not complete it. That's spell like spider without the vowels, and Sir Keegan just kind of just leaves Discord for like 3 months, just to allow it to be purged.
I mean, the arachnophobia. I like that a lot of games that now are putting in arachnophobia options. The game.
Well, it's a
Grounded,
video
where you
game.
play
Face
as
your
people
fear.
in,
Face your fear. You're safe. Face your fear. Be
where you get shrunk down, and like one of the biggest enemies in that is spiders. The option.
Oh, when you click the arachnophobia option, it's a
turns
clown
into
instead. No, what'd you say?
That turns them into blobs. Although my favorite arachnophobia option is from Satisfactory, who turns them into pictures of cats. Literally, a picture of cat running at you.
That'd be me.
Is this real?
I'm like,
There's a
burn it!
arachnophobia option.
Huh?
I said, is that real? There's an arachnophobia option.
For a lot of games now, yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So
remember, phobias are more than just like a fear. Phobia is like a visceral reaction.
Yeah.
To just the visual likeness of something.
So I like the idea that like in a game where usually a character walks through woods and they look down and they realize they've got ticks on their legs. You turn the arachnophobia option, you go walking through woods, you look down and you get like Donald Trump sucking on your leg. The fuck?
That would be funny.
MAGA.
There was a video I saw on TikTok of someone in Australia taking off their sock to realize they had a leech in their sock that had been sucking on their ankle the entire time.
I watched the episode, so while we're distracted.
A very appropriate reaction.
I watched the episode of Bluey where like they went walking through some like, I don't know, I'll call it the Outback area, and they looked down and they're like, oh, there's leeches, and the dad just like reached down and like plucked the leech off and tossed it to the side like it was nothing. I'm like, is that normal? Is that a thing? Where you're just like, yeah, it's just leeches, and you pull it off and you throw it. Is that like a thing, or is this like, are you a little bit more? Would there be a bit more of a reaction?
I would have a bit more reaction. I will say that, like, as far as I know, other than like an infection, maybe there's not a big risk when it comes to leeches.
Because leeches don't have teeth.
I don't see many leeches around, so
leeches don't really have teeth, do they? They use suction to pull blood out of the capillaries, right? They like burst capillaries, right?
I
Is that how they
don't,
work?
no, I think I don't know how leeches work, but I know that like, I mean they used to be used in medicine, so
But I think those are bred leeches in medicine.
yeah, they were.
So you
So,
had
as I
less of a
said,
chance
like,
of disease.
The risk would be infection, and
Yeah.
disease.
Granted, we
but
didn't
I
really
don't think it's
understand
like-
microbiology back then, but
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I haven't heard. I've had a leech on me before, and there wasn't a big reaction by the people that were. I was in scouts. It wasn't a big reaction by the people that were running it, so I assume it's not too bad. Not too high a risk of something bad happening.
also it's easier to not react much when it's happening to somebody else.
I mean, that's true. But usually when something dangerous is happening to the kids in scouts, the leaders do tend to react because they're like, we're going to get sued.
Well, there's also inherent risks with certain activities
Oh,
where
yeah.
you're not going to get sued for it. It's like there are just inherent risks and other things where you sign like a basic waiver, without that being too much of a
There's
concern.
also, I still remember, I went on a school bushwalk, which is hiking, essentially.
Yeah.
And we went to camp, and there was water that we were like taking and then boiling and using, and when I said to boil it before you use it, the teacher was like, "Oh, really? You have to do that?" And I was like,
Yeah, well, when our school went there, they just had us drink out of the streams. It's like, go on.
running
fresh.
water is less dangerous, but it's
Yep.
still not good. But like,
No.
still, this was like standing water. I'm like, no, that's not good.
It makes me think of over here we have what's the name of that TV show? It's on Comedy Central. It's The Daily Show with Trevor Noah is currently the host of it. It will never be as good as when it was Jon Stewart. No other host will ever be able to touch Jon Stewart's skill level. But Trevor Noah, he's funny, and so he sent out one of his like comedy correspondents. It was a female correspondent or whatever. To talk to this guy who literally sells pure water, and it's literally just water bottled out of a stream that he sells for like ridiculous prices. And the thing about pure water is that if it sits in the jar for too long, it's best if drank within 28 days. Otherwise, it turns green, because that's what natural water is supposed to do. Is if you put it in a jar, it
Yeah.
turns green. And so, like, she speaks to a whole bunch of scientists, and they're like, "Yeah, no, it's not. No, this. You have no idea what you're putting in your body. That is a terrible idea."
You
And
know,
he's
this is
like-
bad.
and he's
This is
like-
real bad.
And he's like, you know exactly what you're putting in your body. Natural minerals and natural microbiome going into your body, and none of the harmful chemicals like fluoride. And they're all like, yeah, no, fluoride has no proven negative effect on society. It actually is really good for your teeth and your overall well-being. Not to mention, sanitizing the water is proven to get rid of all sorts of problems like dysentery and all sorts of other. And he's like, no, this is good. And he's like, you want to drink some water? She's like, yeah. He's like, let's go get some. So he walks with her out to the middle of a stream, like in the middle of nowhere, where it's like in the street. It's not like it's a big flow of running. It's like a very low running water, where he like goes to where the ledge is like maybe this far of a drop, and he puts his hands beneath it and he stops. So he does this like meditative thing, and then it's like, and then he meditates for like a minute, and he's like, you have to take in the freshness of it. And she's like, I think I saw some cow shit up the stream over there. It's just a funny thing. I don't know. It was just funny. So she drinks some as well, and then she asks the doctor afterwards, should I be concerned for my safety? And he's like, well, I'm not saying you should immediately be concerned. I'm just saying that if you start to suffer some symptoms, perhaps you should consult a doctor, because you might need to get a round of antibiotics. Be careful what you're drinking out there. Oh, it's so
And how
funny.
how many water bottles was the guy selling?
He sells a lot, and he sells it for a lot.
Do you
I don't remember
think,
the prices.
Do you think sometimes he just turns the tap on? Just
No,
fills
that
up
was
a
actually
bottle?
a thing in New York, where New York they called it. I think the company was called Tap, and they literally just poured tap water into bottles and sold it on the streets for like $2 a bottle. And I think the company was called
Ingenious.
Tap or Tapped or something like that, and they would literally sell
makes sense.
sealed bottles of tap
I
water.
mean, At least they're, going full ham into it. by
Yeah, I
calling
get it.
themselves
I
that.
get it.
People
You're
didn't know
you're
that.
Like,
People,
Oh, really?
do you ever
Yeah.
wish when you had bottled water, you were actually having tap water? Well, now with bottled tap water, you can have just that.
yeah, right? It's like, did you ever just want a glass of tap water but still fuck over the environment? Well, we got the company
Anyway.
for you.
Yeah, sorry about that. My granny called.
Oh, that's
And she's like,
Oh, here
Yeah.
comes the grannies. Hi, Janet. Oh, Rita.
did you just call Rena a granny?
I said Rita, but that's okay.
Guys,
Jake-
chat.
Jake
Did
gets
he
it.
just say?
No.
Did he just
What?
say, "Here comes the granny," and
Just
then
happened.
name drop Rena?
Grannies, and it's Janet and Rita. It's a very specific reference.
I think he just name dropped Rena, guys, as a granny.
Oh.
Anyway,
Why
so
are people dumb?
we've decided that we're traveling to Oster.
Genetics,
Selling bottled
early
water
life
along the way.
nutrition, upbringing, education that their government provides for them. All sorts of reasons, V-Sword. All sorts of reasons. This time. All right, so back to game. Any of the details with you guys, a little side chatter that you needed to go over with me, or are we good?
We're good.
I think we're good.
Want to tell the Clomeister we said hi, by the way?
Scott says, "Hi." Look at that. That's Chloe's first appearance on stream ever.
No, I think it's a second.
Is it?
Yeah.
She's seen you guys before. But
Yeah.
I didn't think she'd ever appeared
Oh.
on a live stream.
Yeah, met Chloe a bunch of times.
He called you the Clomeister. He's a bit of a dad.
That's that big D energy right there. That big dad energy. All right.
All right, so 3-hour stream. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. All right, so
All your streams are like 3 hours these days.
It's true.
the stream's 4 hours. It's just the
You
content.
you just can't perform for the same length of time that you used to,
Oh my
Scott.
god, just we're getting distracted about how much we're getting distracted.
Right, let's get into it after one slight little thing. I'm just saying that I started us off really strong, right? Like
Actually,
I
yeah,
did
good
I did
recap.
the intro, I
was a
got it,
solid
it was
recap.
good. We were
Yeah.
ready to go, and then the Rory bomb hit, and the Grand bomb hit, and like fair play. Like what can you do?
We're just coasting now.
Look, it's God's will. If we'd BS'd all that time, Rory would have been asleep, wouldn't have had a phone call.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely true. But since we talked about water, I guess the hydrogen bomb hit too. So why don't we actually get to the game? You guys
Oh,
are
I'm sorry, Norway. It's good for you. Good for your bones.
why don't we actually get started? So with McGlynn heading to Orad. So your characters, there was nothing else I think you were doing in this town here. There was nothing else you were grabbing. You did all your research. You discovered everything you needed to. I believe you were literally getting on horses and leaving. That being said, only one of you owns a horse.
Yes.
The other two of you,
Yeah.
however, could always, requisition a horse, or you could, actually, that reminds you, I have to set up that thing on a Patreon for you guys. But you could always requisition a horse, or you can purchase one.
I have 13 gold. I'm requisitioning a horse.
You could have an ass. So remember, if you're actually buying something with gold, you get a discount on it for whatever it is that you're purchasing. And because of where it is that you guys happen to be, horses aren't exactly in great supply. So if you were closer to, say, like a deer, there would be potentially a discount for such a thing. But way over here, this isn't like a big horse region. So I would say your characters can get a 10% discount trying to purchase a horse for yourselves if you're looking at the prices of them. Tesh might be out of the realm of what you could do, and Jake, I don't think you're necessarily looking to shell out that money when.
I mean,
maybe
how
a
much is a horse?
depends on the type. Give me 1 second.
This is where we pull out a chart from Pathfinder. It's got all the different types of horses.
Well, there's a few actually. Funny enough.
Cool. I thought that's. I was saying it half as a joke, half as a Pathfinder. It's probably what it actually has. It's
Well-
good that it has it.
Well, there's
But
a
it's-
so the
thing.
basic ones. They're getting all weird. There's a light horse, heavy horse. Then there's a combat trained version of each of those. Then you can also
okay.
get a you can ride an ass. What is it called? Is it a pony? Or I think there's a donkey, isn't there?
And
Yeah,
you're
a
thinking of
donkey or a mule.
donkey.
Donkey's
But you're more
super
likely
cheap.
you're more likely to get a mule, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
donkeys
yeah.
got
My
short
apologies.
legs, but
Yes,
mules
yes,
don't.
yes. Yeah, mules are the better version. So mule is only 8 gold pieces normally. So we're talking you can buy it for 7 gold, no problem. But a pony, which if your character's not too big, is totally an option. It's only 30 gold pieces as it is. And then once you get to light horse, it's 75 gold. Heavy horse is 200 gold. You're not going to go combat trained. It's just too expensive.
Yeah. That being said, it's cool that there is a combat train option, and that might be something I want in the future. But yeah, no, I think requisition horse for me is what's going to happen.
Cool. So you're gonna go for what? Can you? Can you? Or you gotta look to ask for one to
Ask for
How much
one
is it to
for-
requisition?
So to requisition horse again, this is part of the thing I got to set up on Patreon for you guys. Where you're able to kind of like the call in favors thing that we talked about forever ago with other campaigns. You guys are going to actively have that as you're gaining your popularity within your own area, where you can actually requisition that, and that has going to have bleed over to other organizations. But those other organizations are actually going to be other provinces of Paradel. Where you guys can actually call in favors when you're in different areas. So in this situation, you could do like a call out a favor for a horse. It's a relatively simplistic thing where you're renting one versus, or borrowing one, I should say, versus buying one. And it's a D20 roll for something as simple as this, because it's not a super high GP value. If you're just grabbing 2 light horses, I would say for the first horse, you're looking at like a DC 12. For the 2 horses together, you're probably looking at a DC 15. It's a 1d20, and then there are factors. I'm trying to remember the old rules, but I believe because of your level, you guys level 4,
3.
level 3. So it's probably 1d20 plus 1 for this, and then of course the d20 roll. Give me 1 second. 1 second. I just got to pull up this old ruling that I'm going to make modifications to. In your character level, you get a +1 levels 1 to 2, a +2 levels 3 to 6. So you actually get a plus +2 on the roll. Yeah. For how it is I would run it. And so you're actually able to go ahead and make a 1d20 plus 2 to DC 15 to grab 2 horses, or 12 to grab 1 horse. The thing is, you have to define what you're rolling for before you roll. There are different ways where you'd be able to have bonuses to this, but we'll not worry about those right now. Go ahead.
You want to roll it, Tesh? You want to try and get 2?
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go for 2. So roll d20
Plus 2, sir.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, luck it. I'm gonna luck it. Can I
Okay.
luck it?
Yeah, it's a 50% chance
Yeah.
for 2.
50-50. God damn it.
And like I said, there are other things that offer modifiers based off of like reputation, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I'm going to say at this point in time, as a fail, you guys weren't able to just requisition horses. So you can either buy them with your discount, or we could just, you can stay on foot and we just get started.
Oh, we're staying on
So
foot.
how much is the cheaper horses?
So just a light horse is 75 gold. Taking a discount off of that, you just bring it down to 68 gold each.
How much is a mule?
Yeah, how much is
A mule is 8 gold or 7.
Get a mule.
Yeah, I'll get
Mules
a
are basically horses, but they can't breed, which is why they're so cheap.
Yep.
Oh,
And they're dumber.
No, they're not.
So much dumber.
They're braver than
So much,
horses.
so much
it
dumber.
might be
Actually.
stat wise.
But the problem is they're stubborn.
Stubborn as a...
So they're stubborn, like their donkey parentage,
So
which
8
means that
gold?
they're less likely to spook, and they're a bit more sure-footed. But they're also not as easy to control as horses because they're more stubborn.
So 8 gold, Scott?
My apologies. It will be 8 gold. Yes, sir. 7 gold each. So you guys can each just shell out the 7 gold and call it a day.
Oh, I'm a commander. I can't be riding around on a mule. Alright, so I'm probably gonna go for the light horse, I would say.
Yeah, 68 gold. You're good.
Trying to rush everything. I wanted to bring it into RP, Scott.
Oh,
I wanted
I'm so sorry.
to bring Neil into the conversation as the horse expert.
That's a great way to get us into like on point. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, that's a good. Way of doing it.
I commend your effort. Everybody, let's just a round of applause for Jake.
I'm gonna do it to myself too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Good job, Jake.
All right. So when the requisitioning fails, Viggo will seek out Tristan. Tristan, before we set out, I don't really want to walk all the way, so we're looking at getting horses. We weren't able to requisition any, but I would like your expertise in picking out one.
All right. What are you thinking?
Probably he looks. I don't know if you're around Karok or not. Not something as grand as Karok. Just something to get me from A to B. You know, something that it's hopefully bred well enough not to spook too easy.
You want something combat trained? Because that'll cost you more. But that's the only way it's not going to spook. And
yeah, I probably don't have the funds for a combat trained horse, but hopefully a well bred one at least better than the others on offer.
we can have
Probably
a look.
just something, not something that could carry too heavy. I don't weigh all that much.
We can have a look.
Thank you. I think Gallon was down there. I think he's purchasing a mule.
Huh? As he's like leading the mule.
You see the mule with like elongated face and stuff like that. He's like, oh, he's kind of cute actually.
Got a name for him.
Oh no! If you're buying a mule, V-Sword gets to name it.
Okay, fuck it. Let's go with it.
And while we're at it, because a horse is a noble creature, we'll allow Norway to name a noble creature like a horse. We'll allow Norway to name that one. Yes, V-Sword. I gave you the mule. Deal with it. Go ahead.
All right, so we're gonna make our way to the stable then, I guess, or
But-
wherever the
By the way,
things
I
are on offer.
semi-tangent for a second. I was really trying to Google stats for a Pathfinder mule, and I found forums that all talked about how the reason why mules stats don't exist in the game is because after 3.5 and 3.0, all editions removed the mule from the game because it was a game-breaking option because it had the same stats as a horse while being significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like Gallon. Go for the options. It's not prestigious, but it works.
My favorite one was somebody said mule removed for game breaking device. Mule be removed for game breaking was the name of the forum, and the first message, the OP's message, was no message. And it just got more likes than any individual message I've ever seen on a Pathfinder forum. I was like, that's just amazing. It's so good. All right. Anyways, keep going.
Oh, we're gonna go to the stable and have a look.
Go ahead, Neil.
He'd go through checking teeth, hooves, health, but also he's looking for temperament. He said he wants one that doesn't spook easy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to go through and hopefully I can roll a handle animal if they'll let me go and interact with the horses.
Yep.
Is rolling. Beautiful.
You have any
was
bonuses
almost
for it being a
a
horse
16.
or anything like that, or is that actually a result?
I don't think I do because I get all my benefits from like dealing with my own.
Yeah, okay, I
animal
thought so.
companion.
So one of the things
Also-
that you notice. Oh, sorry, you, sir, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that was also a +6. That's pretty decent.
Yeah. So what you could tell is, with this horse, it's actually a docile horse. So that means, when it's a docile horse, first of all, things like, its hoof attacks are considered secondary attacks, as no primary attack, which does mean that they, are not particularly good in combat. If you were trying to use this thing in combat, it would most likely miss its target. It also could spook relatively easily if you're trying to bring it into things where it's loud clashing of weapons and so on and so forth. But for transportation, it's absolutely fine. But you're looking this horse over. You're giving it a good once over. And why don't we go ahead and have Steve roll me a D100 real quick. You're giving it a good once over, trying to get a good judge of the horse and realizing that it's docile. But you can also see that the training of the horse is relatively rudimentary. You actually see that the horse is kind of a keen horse and does have the opportunity to potentially be trained for a bit more. I believe the rules for training a horse is they can have a maximum number of skill tricks equal to 3 times their intelligence. Does that sound about right? I think it's 3 times their intelligence. Their intelligence is 2.
I need to check, but I can definitely teach tricks. Yeah.
Well, the ride training gives the trick come, heal, and stay. That's all it really gives them to be able to bear a rider. So that being said, that means that this horse is still open to be able to be trained with 3 more tricks if somebody were to spend the time to do so. Now, he's actually purchasing this horse, so that means there's room for improvement on what the training already is on it, and you actually might be able to teach the horse that. But these need to be consecutive days of training, not like broken up, so you'd actually have to have some downtime to pull this off, okay? If you look up the handle animal rules, you can see anything more beyond that. Overall, the horse named... I don't think, did Green name it yet?
No.
Oh, he didn't. Okay.
Oh, we do have a name for the mule, though.
Yeah, I saw that. We'll get...
Braga.
Yeah.
Braga. How do you? I'll ask Vissel how I say it.
It's either Braga or Braga.
No,
Yeah.
it's Braga.
So.
She said
Braga.
short A sound.
Oh, I didn't see that part. Sorry.
Short ace.
God damn it, guys.
Oh, yep, she does.
Braga.
Yep, I see there. Cool. Waiter. It's waiter or watter.
Oh,
Also a short A sound. Water. Anyways, get water here. So anyways, you, or if it was Ano, water.
oh, speak of the devil. Wow.
Oh, that was literally you said
No.
it was Anno, and he appeared. He was side by
That was
side. He
particularly
appeared in
good
chat.
timing.
So there's a little bit of a delay for you guys. For us, it was 100%. He said Anno. Anno just said hello. Just instantly.
That's awesome. All right, back to chat. Back to game. So, you look it over. You see that 3 of the 6 tricks are filled out. It leaves room for improvement, Neil. Overall, the horse is in good health. To be fair though, it is. If it's a male, it's already not for breeding anymore.
A gelding.
Yeah. And if it's, I know. And if it's, or it could be a female. I'll let V-Sword choose the. Oh, sorry. The name was Watter. I don't know if it's a male or female. Waiter. That could be a male or female name to me. So
he's a river horse, or
Yeah.
she's a river horse.
well, now Green to decide sex. All right, go ahead, Neil.
Tris would say, this one seems like a nice, calm horse, good health, not very well trained per se, but I think there's room for some more training if you have the time. Not the sort of horse that's going to take you into combat, but perhaps the horse that could take you out.
Oh, that's all I need. Thank you, Tris. I appreciate your assistance.
Tristan looks over to what's his face, Gallon, sorry, who's over there and kind of like rubbing like behind the ear of the mule that he's with, and you can see that mule is not very happy with the rubbing behind the ear that he's doing, and you can see that mule is starting to give signs that it might kick him.
Uh-oh.
Mind the legs on that one.
Huh?
He like looks down at the leg, and exactly as the hoof comes up, and just straight into the brain. Oh, well, you did. She's good. Docile. She's good.
So you go over there to Braga, which is definitely a male.
Braga.
By the way, he's still intact because it doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
He'll give him a pat. He'll give him a once ever. He wants to see what his friends could be riding.
Sure. So you walk over and you go to roll a handle animal check for this one as well.
Great. Oh no. Oh, that's no.
So you walk over there and you kind of assess the situation. Maybe one of those may I, kind of things in the stable hand, and Gallon would kind of give like a nod or whatever. Oh, yeah. And you go and you present your hand and maybe even like a little oats or whatever it is that you always have on hand for you to the animal, and you start giving it a little bit of attention. Same idea as always when you walk along the flank of a horse that's not super familiar with you, that like you don't have like a bond with. You usually want to make sure they always know where you are and you're not kind of catching them off guard, because they are animals and they can be dangerous even if they're not intending to be. Right. So it's kind of like you walk along the backside of the horse or whatever it is, running your hand along it as you go to give it a good, the mule, to give it a good checkout, and coming back along the other side. And you realize, okay, this one's a bit of a, is a little bit testy. This mule right here is a little bit testy, but it's also partially because it's young, it's intact. You know what I mean? It's not been fully trained. It is trained to be ridden, right? But I would say this one does not have the docile feature, which, since it doesn't have the docile feature, but also isn't war trained, that does mean that it would not be a secondary attack to make a hoof attack with the thing, but it's also not necessarily a good thing to have this one in combat either.
Yeah, you have to do a ride check every single turn. Yeah.
Correct. So this one is not a docile one, though you could train it to be docile if that was something that you wanted to almost break the mule, if you will, though that phrasing does bother me because of how they used to do it. We don't do it that way anymore, but
I know, but it's the phrase is yeah.
It's like I found out that Rory's martial arts, they don't use the word master anymore because they don't like the connotation of what it means. So it's just Mr. But Rory just says, I want to call him sir. It's like, okay. So if she refers to him in context as like a third party, she'd be like, sir told me. Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And side note for UV Sword, when she had class yesterday, she actually got to have a female instructor as well as the instructor aide. So she got to have a ma'am as well, which I thought was super awesome. So I just know that because you did similar martial arts before. So I was like, that's so cool because it's yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You know what I mean? So I was like, that's so cool. But anyways, back to game. So yeah, you kind of look the thing over. You realize it does not have the docile feature, but it is equally needs training to be in that kind of scenario. This one would give you, because he's let's say he's ballsy. He's going to be a bit more difficult for you to try to train if you wanted to do so. But again, you could spend time doing so if possible. Honestly, with the right equipment, you might even be able to train both of them at the same time. You don't have proper training equipment because, God, it's been how many years since the last time you helped to train horses? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even still,
like, I don't know, what, 3-4 years probably since he properly did that?
Yeah, and even still, like, is it something that you really enjoyed when you were at your family farm? Or is it one of those things that you did because it was a chore? You know what I mean? It's not necessarily your shtick.
Triss would say he's got a lot of spirit, this one. If you trained him, I think he'd be a fine steed for combat. As it stands, I'd be careful. He's probably more likely to throw you than she is. And he'd give it like a pat on the nose.
Good to know, and I'll keep that in mind. That still sounds like he'll be good for what we need. Well, at least what I need.
Short-footed things, mules. They do their job well.
He's gonna come in a clutch. I believe that. They're gonna be like, we need a distraction.
Hell yeah!
Send the mule in the tavern.
No.
Mule just starts eating everything. It's like the mule's favorite meal is doilies.
I was thinking more, when we're in the Barrenlands and there's orcs chasing, maybe just,
bleed it out.
Yeah.
No.
Orcs get straws.
Gallon gets grabbed and pinned down once again, as per Gallon usual, in 100% of combat.
Let's go.
And like this orc's like leering over him, and then all of a sudden a shadow falls over the orc, and it just takes a hoof to the face.
Yes.
No, I'm thinking of, oh God, what's that cartoon that has like the horse that stands up on its back legs? It's got the hooves up. It's like the kind of light brown horse with the dark mane. Oh, it's like Bo something.
Oh, BoJack Horseman.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna feel like a cigarette in its mouth. You know what I mean? Like,
Come
Shall
on,
we
you.
continue?
oh, that's awesome. But it looks kind of derpy because it's a mule.
You look right,
All right, let's go.
So you guys have your steeds. As for, by the way, your bit and bridle and all that stuff can be requisitioned without any checks. They will just give that to you. It belongs to the states, but it's just given to you to ride with.
Harold got reshoed with the nice shoes.
Yeah, and you actually paid for that. You actually paid to have
No, I put it on my tab.
Yeah, we now have negative
I
credit.
put
but we
it
don't know
on
that yet.
Viggo's credit tab actually.
Okay. So you get the nice shoes put on the horse, which is honestly a good thing because going to corrupt the land there is very interesting.
Can we just point out what a lawful good act that was? I could have just said, yes, I paid for that. And that would have been it. No one would have known. No one would have known any better.
So what you're saying is that Neil is lawful good, even if his characters are all.
I know. I'm not going to tell you Triss's alignment. You'll find out over time.
I'm sorry. How are you nice and warm right now? You get a nice nice bear hug at the moment.
Yeah, I'm very warm.
Okay. So continuing on. You guys are able to travel out of McGlynn and heading over to now I have to open my map again. Heading over to Orod. Heading in that direction. You all have your horses and whatnot, kind of like riding along. Just for funsies, could the two of you that just have their new horses roll me a ride check?
Here we go. Hey.
Hey. Oh. Good thing you were on the docile one.
Yeah.
So as you guys are making your way along, one of the things that you happen to notice, Neil, is that despite the fact that his horse is rather docile, Viggo is not exactly you don't think he's ever been trained in how to he understands butt goes here, foot goes in stirrups,
Yeah.
but he doesn't actually properly know how to ride a horse. The horse actually gives him a lot of like warning signs that he's completely deaf to. And a lot of the reason is there's a certain way that you sit in a saddle to make it comfortable for the horse so you don't break its goddamn back and whatnot. And he's not. He's like sitting with some of the worst posture, hurting his own back, slumped. He's kind of like slumped sitting there trying to do something like reading and whatnot as he's making his way along, or like looking about almost like a naturalist, right? And taking in sights and kind of like marking them down as he goes. Like it's some of the worst posture that you could possibly have. And you can see a lot of like irritable signs coming off of the horse. I don't know if your character would approach your commanding officer necessarily about this so early on, but I imagine that you are a little bit kinder to the horse when it's time to kind of, I forget the word phrasing for it, but more or less take them down for the night.
He would actually approach about this because
Sure.
he'd be used to doing this. Exactly this. You're riding out along the rivers and someone's not riding properly or not riding as well. You have to deal with it there and then. So like Carrick would slowly speed up until he draws sort of alongside. And then he'd go
Snaps his book shut, tucks it away. Tristan, yes.
not ridden much before.
Is it that obvious?
Oh yeah. You're like a sack of potatoes.
It's rather uncomfortable in this saddle, I'm not gonna lie.
Back straight, heels down, just the stirrups in the front on the balls of your toes. Hands down, excellent. Keep them close to the horse even when you're turning it. There you go, that's better already. Now, do you know how to trot? He'll then kick into a trot and go around, and he does something called a rising trot, which is he rises and falls with the canter. Well, it's not actually canter, but it's the step of the horse. And he'll proceed to go around you a couple of times doing that, looking at you, and then stop next to you, go to a walk again and say, now you try.
He takes every suggestion you have and we'll attempt to do it.
Okay. So you start kind of going with it. It's one thing to see the motion. It's another thing to try to imitate the motion. And it's the third thing to worry about in the future, trying to imitate a motion that you saw 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, 3 hours ago, a few days ago. It's actually a skill that takes a lot of time to learn. And you're watching him do it, Neil, and it's one of those like, Viggo is actually kind of like a type A. So he would actually put genuine effort into it and not like sarcastic effort into it. Because
he wants to be the best, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you can imagine that, at least in the moment, he seems to be doing a rather good job of trying to go along with this trot, right? But then as you're like, all right, good enough, and whether or not you choose to ride away, again, you'll look back 10 minutes later and be like, you know? And again, kind of like, I don't know if you want to hold on to this anymore, Neil, or just kind of like little things like that you touch on as you ride.
Now he's given the pointers, like he can see that Viggo's trying. He's not going to pester him about it. He'd like to say he is the commanding officer. But when we stop, or if we camp at all, or when we stop for breaks, he will come and give pointers again, and encouragement as well. He says, like, he's clear to say how he's improved, and how Wader is preferring this. Like, you can see now there's less of the flicking of the ears and annoyance, that turning of the head. She's not biting at the bit quite so much, because you're working with her now. You're not against her. And he tries to be like encouraging, not like, oh, you're doing really bad. He tries to be like, oh yeah, big improvement.
Yeah, you see him, he writes down everything you say, and he's like, the heading's probably like horse riding in you or something. So he's taking everything on board very literally.
So it's funny enough that you're saying that Norwegian green. I was going to say, more or less, you're giving him the +2 that gets him over the hump, so that he is able to get along this trek without much there. But it doesn't change the fact that during the ride alone, it's not very uncomfortable just sitting there on a horse as it's walking. But during the occasional trots and whatnot that you do, needless to say, Viggo, your thighs are absolutely killing you. This is not a fun experience, and that poor horse is.
The first time I rode a horse, my inner leg. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a pleasant experience, and a story that I'm sure I've told a million times. At one point in time, I had a friend that I would ride her horse, but I was taught a certain way to ride, but this horse was actually her horse. She had bought was previously a rancher's horse. So actually, like, we used to live down in Texas. It was a cowboy's horse. So they were taught an informal way. So like, there's a way that you sit in a saddle that's the correct way normally, but the way that horse was trained, the correct way of sitting in a saddle was their commands to go. So like, you could be sitting there and you could be like just sitting the correct way. And all of a sudden the horse starts going, and you're like, no, stop, pull, little tug, little like just gentle tugs to tell it to stop. So the horse is getting super frustrated because I'm telling it to both go and stop at the same time. And I'm like, I don't understand. And it's because,
Poor thing.
and she was like, oh my God, after like an hour of this, she's like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I forgot. This has very different command cues. Very different command cues. It's like trying to play PlayStation with an Xbox controller. You're like, what is going on? You know,
The fucking the triangle X A button, and they're all different. They're always fucking different.
Yep, yeah, exactly. Anyways, or like inverting your mouse. Oh, so yeah, I know. Whenever I use somebody's laptop for a second and the touchpad's inverted, I'm like, I didn't realize I was dealing with a monster.
Now drunk.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, back to game. So you guys travel your way there without incident, mind you. I mean, to be clear, you are deep into Paradel, right? Yeah, you're kind of close to the border, to Barrenlands and whatnot, but you're still south in Dween. This area is very, very closely looked after. There's lots of the roads here. I mean, again, you're near major trade cities along major rivers. These aren't like little areas where you could you're typically going to bump into bandits or anything like that on the roads, right? And I would even go so far as to say you see other merchants and whatnot on the road as well. The cool thing with this is it gives you the opportunity to, as you're traveling, kind of meet with other people, to actually camp with others if you care to do so, because obviously safety in numbers, because there is wildlife that could be considered dangerous out here as well. While you're kind of trekking along, it's like, oh, we've got to eat rations. We tracked with, you also would have brought like fruits and veggies and whatnot. But again, when you have merchants there, you can be like, oh, hey, trade this for that or whatever it might be to be able to eat proper meals as you go.
Or just pull in at their literal camp or wagon camp, and be like, oh, hey, you cooking? Can we have some? Can we buy some?
Yeah, exactly. So, which is kind of a nice thing, because most adventurers don't get necessarily to experience that, and that's what your day to day is while you're here. Eventually,
the civilized world.
The civilized world, exactly. Eventually, you guys pull into to Aurorum, and Aurorum is it's a kind of a nice town. The word town I use almost sparingly. It's just because like the phrasing of it. It's not quite a city. It's not quite a town either. It's like a large town where you have like a decent size center of peoples that come through here. But one of the things that you notice is that the reason why there's a good number of people, there's a good amount of commerce inside this town, is because there's a decent sized military installation that happens to be here. So a lot of the commerce is going to be coming off of the soldiers that are serving in the area. Now, to be clear, when I'm talking about military installation, this is actually going to be large Climë barracks that happen to exist. So there's actually a good number of Climë soldiers that happen to be in the area. Now, as for those that are serving Climë, because Dween doesn't really border much by way of lands that isn't Paradel or water, the Climë soldiers you're seeing are going to be former Karak, which is an interesting type of Climë soldier that's there, or people that you're going to have been kind of chose for this province for them to serve in Climë, so this would be their home once they come out the other side as a Manel, right? The second class citizens. So why don't you guys go ahead and, as you're kind of like making your way through the barracks, looking through the town, so on and so forth, just roll me a perception check really quickly.
I imagine the other Climë barracks would be down in the other side, bordering
Sahara?
Yeah.
There's several of them throughout, but yeah. So this is actually Gallon. Might be because Gallon's out of the three of you the most comfortable inside the barracks, had the most formal training. Because like Neil's character leans into formal training and whatnot, but he also was more of like specifically for the River Guard, for the cavalry, et cetera, et cetera. And Viggo had officers training because he was already a citizen, and more kept his studies and whatnot than he did spending time in the barracks. But as you guys are kind of like bringing your way into the town and looking through the areas and maybe finding places where you'll be able to rest, perhaps it's Gallon that goes to make sure that you guys can have a room amongst the barracks themselves. Gallon, the reason why I'm having you roll this is because one of the things that you notice amongst the barracks is you actually see a person that, not that your character necessarily gawk or stare, but they're very, very unusual looking. One of the things that you notice as you go into the barracks area and you see kind of people in their stations having conversation. One of the people having conversation, you didn't notice them at first, but then eventually kind of catches you off guard, is there is an individual that's kind of like sitting on a bunk, talking to two others that are standing there by. They're seemingly friendly with one another, having conversation, laughing, joking, whatever it is. But one of the things that you notice about their skin actually looks like, you notice it from afar, they look so smooth. They look incredibly smooth. Like almost like there's a sheen coming off of them with the light coming in through the window. Like it genuinely catches you off guard. And that's something that you notice, especially because the contrast of what their skin is. You see that throughout their body. Part of their skin is very, 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 very white. I mean, like almost sheet of paper white. But also part of their skin is incredibly dark. At first, you actually think it's black, but then you realize maybe it's closer to like such a deep navy blue it's borderline black. And actually the changing of coloration from one to the other, it's actually a sharp transition along almost like swooping patterns. So if you have to imagine, if you're looking at their arm, whereas like maybe this side of their arm is that very pale white, and this side of the arm is that extremely dark navy blue, borderline black. The distinction between them isn't like a straight line. It's almost like a swerved pattern down the arm that kind of like draws that line as it goes. And again, that sheen, of course, more off the darker skin than the lighter skin that comes off of them. It's just one of those things that kind of caught your eye, and then you look over and you see them. The person that's there completely bald. And once again, as they're kind of like laughing, like you notice that even their teeth are kind of shaped somewhat differently. Even their teeth are a little bit more. God, they almost look filed, because like most people, teeth are kind of flat in the front, right? With the exception of your canines, which mine's up here. Ha ha ha. With the exception of their canines, it looks like pretty much all of their teeth in the front are canines. Catches you off guard. It's one of those things where you're trying, again, Gallon is a respectful individual, trying not to just like.
Yeah, there would definitely be a fascination, because
you toss the occasional like coincidental glance. You just happen to be like looking over at that window over there, and you have like a lingering look across.
Yeah, it's that thing where you like you almost have to keep reminding yourself, like, I actually saw that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just like that? No, okay. Huh. Like that sort of thing. Just sort of the double checking, triple checking sort of thing over and over again in your head.
Cool. So it's one of the things that you're able to notice.
Bring it up there, obviously, but
yeah, I imagine you don't approach it exactly. Yeah. Anyways, so you would of course notice this as you guys are traveling through. Again, inside the actual city itself, there are a lot of barracks here, as previously mentioned. And then outside of Orod, there's actually a decent. This is out of the north side. Out of the north side of Orod, there's actually a good amount of like training grounds that happen to be out there. So training tents, so on and so forth. And with you guys being on the southern edge of what is it, Aroth? You could imagine that the training tents probably exist, like they probably actually do their training 10 months a year here, with the heart, maybe like 9 months a year. With like the 6 weeks or so in the heart of winter, the 6 weeks or so in the heart of the summer, they probably alleviate that kind of training a bit because of how intense the weather changes might be, especially being so close to the Barren Lands. But overall, they would have training pretty much year round at a place like this. So this is a major training area, but not one that any of your characters had experienced prior. So walking through the town, you actually see that there's a decent mix of people that you interact with it being about 55-60% civilians, like citizens, and but again, a good 40-45% soldiers walking through there of varying degrees and whatnot. And that kind of like it shows you kind of the distinction that's there. Looking at your papers for who it is that you're supposed to report to, so on and so forth. I don't think I gave you an officer's name, correct?
No.
Nope.
I didn't think so. Okay. Just pulling up my little ranking structure here. Yep. All right. Beforehand, you were dealing with a BC. Right. Yes, you were. All right, cool. So coming here to go and see who it is that you're speaking to, kind of like I imagine Viggo, while he's figuring out that situation, I imagine you would go and figure out the situation of who it is that you need to speak to, while the other one's having the horses stabled and whatnot, which again would be free of charge. There's no cost for that sort of thing for you guys. So as you go and have that lookabouts, you find out that your point of contact, if you care to write it down, it's going to be CW. Ugh, trash station here in America. But it's Centurion of War.
Mm-hmm.
Vistra. Dallin.
I love watching you two write all this down while I'm like, 8 int, baby.
Yeah.
Wash my hands a bit.
I'm playing a barbarian for the first time in an off-stream campaign. I keep going to take notes, and I'm like, wait, no. My guy wouldn't
I
care
know,
about
it's
this
glorious,
shit.
isn't it? I'm like, I kept relatively meticulous notes as Rayrin, and now I'm just like...
So, Centurion of War, Bistra, Jesus.
Vistra or Vistra?
Vistra.
Vistra, cool.
What the hell did I just say the last name was?
Dallin.
Dallin, thank you. That's what... Steve. Dallin. I'm like Gallon. No, Gallon's your name. Dallin. So Vistra Dallin. So obviously Vistra's her first name. Is who it is that you're going to speak to, and of course you kind of have it arranged that you would go and speak with her. And it's literally one of those things where she happens to be one of the Centaurians that is part of the training area. So once you gather together your subordinates, you're going to head over to speak with her. Right. And so to be clear, she's the Centaurian of War that's handling not just the training of just basic soldiers. She handles training of the soldiers along the river. So these are probably soldiers that are going to serve as river guard themselves. So when you guys kind of gather together and you go heading that direction, this is your opportunity to have a little side chatter. Imagine more from Tesh as you're going to meet with her.
I don't. This is not the sort of time where I think he'd bring up what he saw, because it's not like, well, it's different from his point of view. You know, it's just something he doesn't know. He doesn't know how strange that is or not. Because I mean, he can turn into crystal. So
yeah, but you also know that you're extremely strange to the point where it's state secrets that cannot be shared.
I know, but like, if in terms of the people, he wouldn't bring it up now. He might bring it up later. But as in, like, this is just he still doesn't know every race that exists that lives in Paradise, like every single one. So he probably wouldn't. He, as I said, he'd bring it up later, probably not now.
Okay, cool. So assuming nothing else needs to be said, you guys would go in heading into the training area itself. So the area where she's kind of handling the training, just to pick that for you, as I said, there's training tents outside of the north of this town that happens to be here. Funny enough, the town actually isn't even walled or fenced in or anything like that. It has no outward protection because so many soldiers around at any point in time. But proximity to the Barrenlands might suggest that's a bad idea, but it's still miles away. Anyways, so you excuse me. Where her training area is the one that whoever she follows the commands of kind of runs. There are training tents as previously discussed out the north, but they also actually have a permanent structure as well. They have an actual wooden structure with a pier that goes into the river that's there, and you can see a whole bunch of different types of boats and whatnot. Would be able to like dock there. You actually see a couple different types of boats that are actually docked there right now to make sure that they can, of course, be able to travel north and south along the area, but most importantly, get the training that they need to do so. You also, Neil, this is probably what you're super familiar with. There's also stables right outside here as well, which does suggest that this is kind of like an outpost that you're very familiar with, where they actually do train these animals to be able to be on the boats comfortably. And that's something that you probably think of at this point in time, like, oh shit, if we are going to get a boat and we're going to bring their animals with us, this could be a bit of a concern.
I mean, if we're going to bring a boat, we're probably going to leave at least our horses here, I would imagine.
What if you need to travel a good distance to the desert away from the river? Like, you can get a relatively untrained horse on a boat, but you need to blindfold them. And then once they're in place, bind them.
Okay. I both in and out of character don't know anything about this. So
when the Spanish first brought horses across the sea, it's not like every one of those horses were extremely well trained. You know what I mean? So a lot of times they would bring younger horses too, because it was less weight there, and they would age while they're on the boat because they were just going to be used as plow horses anyways. So it doesn't take much training to have a plow horse. So unless of course you were the Inquisition coming across to just slaughter all the natives. So just remember, there was a gap of time from when the Spanish came the first time and the second time, and the reports of the number of people they saw between that like gap of time changed drastically. So moving on. So you guys are head into the area to go and meet with her. And of course, it's relatively easy to find out where she is. Going to meet with her, she'll actually be presiding over some trainings that are happening over near that permanent structure where it happens to take place. You speak to one of the lowers and, where is she? Oh, let me bring you over that way. They bring you that way. They wait for the appropriate moment of you guys watching the drills. I'll get to that in a second. And eventually they go over to her, get her attention, inform her, and she comes over to meet with you, similar to when you were dealing with a warden before. It is important to note that when those drills and whatnot are happening, Neil, you're sitting there and you're watching them and kind of chuckling to yourself because these are the same kind of drills that you happen to have beforehand. Funny enough, some of the drills that they're doing right now are the ones that you slacked off on, which is why you have 0 profession sailor checks whatsoever, because you were just like, oh, I hated this part. I just did not care. And so you're watching and you're like, yeah, I guess maybe I should have paid attention a little bit more. But either way, as you're kind of like watching this sort of a thing, it may be even like nudging Gallon at one point in time. Okay, watch this bit right here, and you just like see the task that they have to do next. And Gallon's like, oh no. Either way, so she eventually comes over to meet with the 3 of you. She comes over and she had clearly already read the document that was handed to her, and makes her way over and says, introduces herself, gentlemen. I'm a Centurion of War. God damn it, I gotta write this name down because I keep forgetting how it's
Dallin.
yeah, it's Vistra as Dallin.
Vistra Dallin.
Okay, sorry, it's just the last name that keeps getting me. I'm Centurion of War, Vistra Dallin. You could just call me Vistra CW. From what I understand, you're coming looking to head up into the north.
First we'll do the salute when she shows up, but yeah.
We're in the summer, correct?
I
Yes.
believe so.
Okay. She says, it's hot as hell out here. What do you say we go and head into the office and have a refreshment?
That would be
Trish
much
smiles.
appreciated.
He
she'll-
begins grinning.
She turns and starts walking towards the office. As she does so, she actually veers off the path just a moment, and you guys probably slow down and stop, not necessarily following her. As she heads over to where the river kind of comes up a bit, she actually takes a moment. She puts her hands in the water,
Don't do
rinse
it.
them off, and
Don't do it.
No, he's
splashes her.
not doing that.
oh no! I didn't think about that.
I could just see
He's
this
not doing
coming.
that.
And you can
Just
see
like,
her
takes a
splash your
moment to
face off.
meditate.
Splashes her face off because again it's hotter than hell out here. She sweating or whatever, and you can see as she starts walking off. Maybe didn't necessarily realize how dirty her face was before, but as she splashed off her face, you can even see a little bit of the water kind of collecting on the side of her face. But because she doesn't necessarily wipe it all off, it's actually a little bit of a dirty water because of you're out along here doing all these drills and whatnot in the hot sun. Eventually, she goes and water lines, kind of like hair. Goes and walks into the building itself, and she asks one of the others to get some refreshments for you guys, and they'll go and they'll get some live water for you guys, for you guys to be able to sit inside the office and get a bit of refreshment. I mean, let's be clear, inside the office, it's nice because you don't have the sun beating down on you, but it's also warm because you're indoors. It collects heat, and there's only so much breeze that comes through the
But it's probably
windows.
a relatively ye olde style stone building, so the heat's going to be absorbed.
Made out of wood.
Oh,
I said, yeah.
welcome to America, boys.
It's the only permanent structure around. Yes, Tesh, you're gonna say something?
Oh no, it's gone from my brain.
Okay.
Whatever else I say, it's gone.
So you oh god, now you just made me think of a YouTube clip with that, but I'll ignore it. So you she sits down. You guys have a water put there before you guys, and she says, "So it looks like the BC sent you this way to go and look into some stuff to the north." To say, she responded rather quickly, and I appreciate that. What have you been told about what you're heading into?
We've been informed that it could be possible mole ruins.
She nods.
We've been giving an approximate location. I've done some research. I have a fairly good idea if it's the same thing where it kinda is located, but I'm afraid that's all we know.
She nods again. She looks to the others, giving you permission from a superior officer to speak if you want to.
I know that we're expected to clear out these ruins, possibly of, and I've now Kuruk, possibly of Kuruk in the area.
She'll actually gesture towards that one and say, "That's the concern. These ruins that you're referencing, BT, these are a These are rumored. Supposedly they exist nearby, and certainly something that needs to be investigating because of the aforementioned dangers that happen to preside if they're collecting there, if they're gathering in mass there. But it's the Karuk that happen to be in the area where I would want you to have your chief concern. Traveling through here means that you could easily be waylaid. Ambushing you in the night, as you very, very well may know, nighttime is not disruptive for them. They can see just as easily then as we can during the day. I want you to be doubly careful because of this. They will ransack the boats. They will keep the boats from time to time to send raids down and into the towns that border the actual barren lands, or they will dismantle them and use the actual wood. They don't have the means of processing wood the same way that we do. They don't have sawmills. They don't have the equipment. They don't have this training, the skill to make structures out of wood the same way that we can. So grabbing lumber off of a ship and utilizing that lumber to make structures for themselves is a great danger. We're handing them a tool that they otherwise do not have. But one of the most important things I want you to note as you're heading into the barren lands with these Karuk is that their technology is so much worse than ours. They still utilize weapons comprised of low-grade iron and even bronze. Have any of you ever wielded a bronze weapon before?
Pretty sure I wouldn't have.
Jake, you definitely would have
I've seen it
handled
in the
them
museums, though.
in museums. Yeah. Education handled, but not necessarily wielded. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So you say I've seen them in museums.
No, yeah.
Okay. So she says, then you're familiar with how heavy and unwieldy they are with typical training. This is an important thing to note when you're dealing with the Karuk, because they'll use the weight of these weapons and even the fragility of them against you. A misplaced strike easily blocked by you could be a shattered weapon, destroying limbs, causing infection and whatnot. This is a great concern that you have to have entering into the barren lands. They'll utilize any tool at their disposal against you. A fistful of sand or dirt into your face is not beneath them. Biting off your ear in a scuffle is not beneath them. This is, again, all concerns that you have to have as you're entering into the area. But the reason why I bring this up is patrolling these areas for the safety of our people. It's more than just the safety of the soldiers, which obviously we take incredibly seriously. It's also the safety of our technologies. We cannot allow them to walk away from a fight, whether it's a win or not on our side, with so much as a dagger, so much as a proper pot or pan. You understand me on this matter?
Yes, CW.
And more than that, if you come across Karuk that aren't necessarily menacing towards you, but you notice that they have these supplies in their hands, you have the responsibility of retrieving them peacefully through trade of coin or whatnot if possible, but to retrieve them back. The more of these they have on hands, the more likely they are to understand the significance of them, the more likely they are to discover how to create them themselves. Karuk's style of combat and the sheer numbers that they tend to attack with makes them a grave danger. Giving them any advantage or removing any disadvantage that they may have in future combat could lead to untold death and mayhem against the innocent citizens of those that live inside Paradel or even the other nations around the Barren Lands. It is our responsibility to defend all of Eroth, whether they be in our own borders or hell through the tree line of Eldamar or anywhere else, against the dangers of the Karuk.
He'll start to speak and then almost sort of just wait to sort of see the acknowledgement, to see, the classic thing where you wait to see if you're speaking out of turn. If they look to you as if ready for you to speak, then you continue talking.
You also can tell that she has a temperament where interjecting and whatnot, she's not very rigid. This is more conversational. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? She told you when you guys first met her, you can refer to her as her first name. And she referred to an inferior officer as BT out of showing a sign of respect. So she's kind of, informal as a person. So you can kind of get that this is conversational because she's showing empathy because this is a dangerous task that you're being given. Go ahead.
In that case, I have various excess weaponry that is backup for me mainly. Would there be somewhere where I could leave it to retrieve it on return trip? I don't so much need all of the weapons I carry with me, and probably better to leave some of them here.
She nods and says, as long as you're here stationed under me, you're going to have a room inside the barracks, different barracks for each of you. And I do apologize, but this is just the nature of how it is that you are enlisted. But you'll have a room in the barracks, and every room comes with its chest. I understand that you'll be taking rather long gaps of time between now and then, and unfortunately, accidents do happen inside of barracks, so I will have a proper lock given to you as well.
Thank you. Perfect.
Nods.
CW, the Kurok, you referred to them as, the language barrier?
She nods and says, since they are so close to the border, they will understand simple words in Perrin, and can speak simple words in Perrin. But if I had to number the words, the more trained of them would be listing perhaps 100 words. The less trained, a dozen at most. It's more taunts and cusses than it is anything else, but enough to get points across if needed.
With respect, and I know it's not your decision to make, why are we sending in so few?
Perhaps I should tell you the primary reason for why it is that you're going into here. You're investigating the ruins. This is an important thing to note. You're investigating the ruins. We want to know the validity of this claim, how many there are there, if there's any degree of leadership that's there, any information we could have on the leadership. We're not asking you to attack the ruins. That would be foolish. If you notice that there's 36 Kurok there, most likely you would die in a fight like that. We don't want to put your lives in danger to that. But if you can notice distinctive markings of this leader, perhaps how it is that they wear their hair, if any at all, the exact tone of their skin, how pronounced their tusks might be, etc., we might be able to identify the significance of this tribal leader, what tribe they come from, and therefore know how to deal with them moving forward, or potentially even what other tribes they've absorbed. Some of the tribes around here have even made enough trade to learn the foundations of basic magics. We're talking simple things. I don't know if any of you have training in magics. I didn't fully look over your files. I just simply saw your distinctions in the letter that was written here. But what you might refer to as, say, cantrips or orisons, simple things like this, maybe a hair beyond that. But they would still be neophytes. They would still have a degree of training, and that can be concerning on a battlefield. So we need to, of course, treat this with caution. We need to gather this type of information. But that's that sort of investigation, while it does require a small number of soldiers going into the area, that way you're less likely to be noticed. It's more discreet. So you can get in and get out with relative quiet, silence, and feel free to bring steeds if you feel that's necessary. I did notice you are a river guard, she says to you, and when she says that to you, you can notice even though her tone is relatively flat, she gives you a look of like you're one of us. You know what I mean? She says, well, I did notice she says, I did notice that you're river guard. Feel free to bring your steed if you feel it's necessary. Speed is importance. Discretion is also important. So it's your decision in this matter. But the other reason, because you can't waste the opportunity for those that are going in there, because they're so few and far between that we send such excursions. There was a training incident that happened recently, about 2 months ago. Under my command, none of the Climë survived. the incident as far as we know. We can all imagine what fate they unfortunately suffered. I can just hope that it was quick. That's all we can hope for, is that it was quick. And so their supplies were unfortunately taken. We have certain protocol that exists here. Those that are commanding over the training that actually go into the Barren Lands themselves are issued. So you can see there's like a degree of, I suppose, regret in saying this. Those that are in command are issued proper equipment for when they go in there. Properly defend themselves, fend back any minor, what's we're looking for, threats that they deal with, usually handling the threats themselves. But the trainees, to keep the amount of supply that might be gathered should things go south limited, they're handed practiced weapons.
So you send them into their deaths knowingly?
She does give you a somewhat cross look in the accusatory way that you say that, and you, of course, you're able to pick that up pretty quickly because you're familiar with that look. She does give you that, and she says, "It is standard protocol that there is enough on board to handle any threats by the commanding officers presiding over, with small aid from the others that are in command. So that are being commanded heading into the Barren Lands. Unfortunately, they met a slightly greater opposition than what was expected, and unfortunately, they did not survive. Again, we did receive a report from those that happened to return south, but their wounds were too grievous for them to pull through. The last of those that had escaped perished about a month ago, which is when I put in the request for others to come and aid in the situation. For a number that large to have attacked the ship means one of two things. It was a gutsy small tribe that happened to be in the area at the time. These are nomadic peoples. Or the rumors of the ruins are true. In your scenario, you will not be dealing with basic Inclime soldiers that are not properly armed to defend themselves. I have put in request and received from the River King permission to have every person that goes in with you, should you happen to take a ship and crew with you, to be appropriately armed and appropriately trained to handle their weapons. They will be able to defend themselves. Should you moor your ship for some time and go the rest of the way on foot in your searches.
DW, in your opinion, we have been given the two options. One, to take a ship with small crew, or to take the trek. My concern is, and it is a concern for me both because my standing is also riding on this. To take a boat, I believe you just said one was just attacked recently. If there is a clan in the area, it will be a beacon to them, or any type of organized force. But there are benefits, obviously, to being able to take the boat. Do you think those benefits outweigh? Do you think that it would be more beneficial to take the boat most of the way? As for the ruins, I surprisingly came upon written reports from very long ago about structure in the general area, so there may actually be credence to these rumors.
It's impressive that you're able to. Do you have any copies of these reports, or perhaps even the sources with which you found them listed, so I can look into this myself?
Viggo definitely would.
Okay.
Maybe not like probably a complete copy, but a lot about it, and including the person who made the report.
He probably keeps the note of the sources. Like he probably has his own shorthand information.
Yeah.
And then keeps like a source, like a list of what's it called when you have your sources listed? I always forget. What's it called in like college and high school and shit like that?
Bibliography.
What is it? A bibliography?
Isn't it a bibliography?
Is that what it is? Yeah,
I
like the
thought it
list
was
of references.
Yeah,
Yeah, but there's a specific word for making sure you have your sources listed at the end of like a report that you're giving. I don't think it's bibliography, but I could be wrong. It's been a long time. Been a long time since I did schooling. Anyways, so
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in our school they just called it references.
yeah, it's a list of references with a
we
specific
call it
word
reference
for
list,
it, but it doesn't matter. So
yeah, reference lists and bibliographies.
okay, bibliography. Okay, so
A list of all the sources you have used, whether referenced or not, in the process of researching the work.
yeah, okay, so bibliography. Thank you. Okay.
Bibliography sounds right.
Okay, cool. I was like that one sounded a little off to me, but again, I'm 30. I'm almost 36, so it's been a long time since I've done schooling. Either way, so you had asked. She says, "Well, this all comes down to the specific trainings of each of yourselves. As I said, I haven't read full reports of all of your abilities, so it's going to be your own discretion in this matter. What I will give you for guidance is this: bringing your ship with you gives you an anchor point, a place to fall back to, with those that can watch over you, lend you a degree of defense, and even a degree of shelter, if needed for should you be attacked. It's a fallback point for you. And considering the waters flow south, that does mean that you would also have a more rapid travel back into civilized lands, where once again you'll likely be safer. It also means you would have more supplies readily on hand and further along the trip for you. Should you not bring a ship, that's significantly more supplies you're going to have to either pack your horses or your packs with going forward from there. I don't know what your abilities are, how adept you are at finding resources in on the lands for you to survive with, or how much each of you typically eat or drink as you're traveling along, but going based off of what I understand with my own experience, you're going to need to burden yourselves with a good bit in the barren lands, because there's very little that you can travel. There's very little that you can find beyond the river itself. That all being said, and the clear benefits of everything that I suggested there, it is a beacon. You are calling your attention to yourself for a matter of discretion. Tribes will notice you're traveling north. Should those tribes choose to pursue or share that information with nearby tribes, and that information travels faster than your actual task, well, then word could be ahead of you. If you bring the ship, or if you bring the boat, I suggest you do so hastily, so that you can at least stay ahead of the concerns. And then the dangers would more be on the return home than they would be on the voyage out. There's going to be danger either way, but it's a matter of what your skill levels are.
How is it that the Kuruk are getting on board? If you were able to moor the river overnight in the center of the river with torches and a watch, surely you can simply shoot them.
She shakes her head and says, battling Kuruk is something that you are unfortunately going to have to be... you're going to have to learn exactly how they work. We have not been able to recover the boat, so we don't know exactly how it is that they were able to take this one down. I have read reports in the past of them literally swimming under the water line and attacking the hull of the boat to puncture through it from beneath the water. You and I both know exactly how difficult it is to be able to manipulate an object, to manipulate a weapon, to do such difficult physical tasks beneath the water because of the drag that you experience when doing so. But it's a tactic that they've tried to utilize in the past with marginal degrees of success. Thwarted, granted, because these people were able to return home and report on it. Perhaps that's the method they used. Perhaps there was a laxity of guard. We are talking about recruits. We are talking about people doing their training. Perhaps they happen to have archers themselves. Have you seen an orc bone bow before? Or the Karak bone bow? She looks at you and none of you have. So she nods and says, there's a type of bow that's constructed with the bones of certain animals in the Barren Lands. It's not a very... I'm sure you've handled a bow, maybe even a long bow or even a composite bow before. These outshine those in the amount of force that they can deliver behind the arrow that's launched from it. It can shatter the rib cage with a good hit. These are very powerful bows. If they had a trained, even pair of archers using those bows, though they easily could have dismantled the watch pretty quickly.
Ellen just puts the bow on the list of things he's keeping. May need to do some range attacking. Okay, that's interesting. Well, what
So
I mean by that
it's-
is, out of my equipment, I'm keeping my bow, so I have combat at long
Yeah.
range.
So with the boat, speed is the factor.
With
Whereas
the-
if we're on foot, stealth is more at play.
And supplies, just the number of supplies that you can bring. It's your comfort level. I'm willing to. I have 2 specific boats that I'm willing to allow you to take with you, one or the other, depending on how large of a crew you want to bring with you. I suggest smaller crew and more discretion, but that does also look like a smaller and easier target for those that might notice you, but it's also speed. The larger boat and larger crew would allow you to much more easily bring all of your horses, if that's what you would like to bring with you. Moves slower, draws more attention, but it's also bigger. And when it comes to Karak, bigger is oftentimes better. They're not a very large people, but that doesn't change the fact that they respect size, even amongst themselves.
So if we
See.
took the larger boat and moored it a little ways away from our target and took the horses from there, that would give us at least a little bit of the benefits of both. A little bit of speed in terms of getting up the river and also getting to our destination, while defense as a place to return to if we needed. That dog is adorable.
It's literally saying, "Daddy, come scratch me. Give me some scratches. Give me some scratches."
So this is the way I
out
see
of-
it. If we take
out of-
the... Do you want to say something out of character?
No, are we talking about this out of character? Because I was just about to say, let's talk about this out.
No, I'm talking about...
Oh,
in
you're talking in character? Never mind. Go on then.
Yeah. He says, if we bring the boat, my orders and what I'm thinking would be at any sign of... If the men think that they're about to be attacked or they do come under attack, they are to take the boat back without us. We are not to lose the boat. That has been stated to me rather forcefully. And with any luck, they may think that we are on the boat, or everyone is on the boat. That leads us the hard trek back there.
With that note,
But at least we
yes,
don't lose the supplies
we
and the boat.
Well, I was just going to say, with that note, then we should make sure we have at least emergency supplies packed with us when we do go on the expedition in case the boat has to leave, so we can make it back if needed.
Yeah. Tristan, what's your thoughts?
Seems like a good idea, boss. I would be hesitant to travel into a land that relies on speed without horses.
I agree.
So we take the boat and our horses.
We've been blessed.
Yeah, sorry guys, that was a
blessed
fortune's favor from Rory there.
Yeah. I think that was the blessing of that being our final idea, I think.
Oh. So what size boat do we go for though?
So the one that can carry the horses, because we've got one that's smaller and then one that can carry the horses. I think we go with the one that can carry horses.
That's my opinion. And also, if it is a bigger boat and it's a river, so it's running, it will have a bigger anchor, which means that anchoring it in the middle of the river is more viable.
Okay.
And
Rory
I think I agree
gave us
with
a fortune's favor, by the way, Scott.
Is that what that wand was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortune's
she
favor.
blessed the plan.
She's heading over to my mother's house to spend a little bit of time. I think she'll be doing that for the next several Wednesdays, because my mom has a pool, so she can head over there and spend time with Grammy and swim. So she was like, but Daddy's, I'm not gonna see him until later, until dinner time. So she wanted to come and give me like a big hug goodbye. So, but she woke up kind of early, so she's been like super snuggly this morning. So Brittany was just like loving that. You only have so many years where your child just wants to snuggle with you, and then they just want you to die, like hormones, like.
Oh man.
And then they know everything better than you, and then they're married and move off to the other side of the planet. So, it's just how that's life. That's a cycle. So you get maybe, depending on your kid, between 6 and 9 years, somewhere in that range, where like they love you more than anything else, and after that, fuck off.
Okay, so we've got our plan, I think.
Yep. Agreed.
Did she say anything about that report?
Which report? My apologies, just because I got distracted.
Yeah, the one about that I read about the possible ruins, and she asked,
Oh, you asked? She asked for like the sources or whatever. She still has to do her research into it.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I also imagine you're going to like make a copy of like the sources so she can go and try to get her hands on those books, and that's going to take time though. Like requisition of those books, having them delivered here. So it's not something she could do like in a day. It's something she can get done like a month or so. Yeah. Anyways, because like any information that she has is going to compile towards future reports that she needs to do to her superiors. Blah. All right. So, anyways, so more or less, you guys have a little bit of a side, and she actually sits back in her chair and patiently waits as you have your little aside, chiming in here and there to answer, like if there seems to be like a hang up in a question between the two of you, or three of you, my apologies. She'll kind of like giving her suggestion there, and then otherwise staying quiet until eventually you come to the conclusion. I'll allow Viggo to deliver the conclusion.
I think what we've decided is we're going to take the boat that can fit the horses. The men's orders are to guard the boat once we've left, but if they come under attack or they have concern that that they will be coming under attack, they are to take the boat
a big
back
enough
down.
attack that would, Sorry, I wouldn't actually be interrupting you. I think the idea was if it came under like an attack that they didn't feel they could defend from.
She nods and she says, yes, more or less their orders are to abandon you if things seem to be turning south.
We would be taking extra supplies with us on our horses just in case this situation occurred, so we would be able to make it out, at least barely. But it would be a better scenario than them taking the boat and all the equipment.
There's also a tertiary plan. I should inform you of this, she says to Viggo. It has been ordered by It's been ordered by the BC that any future concern that a ship is going to be overtaken. Each ship has in it an amount of oil now.
Yeah.
And if things look as though they are not, some paths are better than others. And certainly we can all agree some deaths are better than others. So this ship will have in it an amount of oil that is going to be easily released throughout the rest of the ship, or a spark could remove the likelihood of them gaining anything of value. Maybe even take a few of the bastards down with it.
Then definitely with the plan of taking the extra supplies in case.
She nods.
Well, let's hope that they don't need to leave us, and hope even more that if they do, they make it back with the boat.
Indeed.
Now on to matters of your traveling to the north and back to the south. When you are traveling north of here, you will see Karak along the trails. Sorry, along the river. Excuse me. You can see varying sizes, but just because you see Karak doesn't necessarily mean you are in inherent danger right off of the bat. These could be small groups that are not looking to engage in battle because maybe their numbers are too few, or they have enough supplies, it doesn't matter, or so on. You might even come across a tribe that we have a degree of relation with. I'm not going to try to give to you instruction or understanding of what these tribes' markings are, because it's a whole education unto itself for how it is you distinguish between them. The important thing is that if we have deals with them, they will not attack you. But they also will not impede anybody else from attacking you as well, and might even go so far as to harbor others that are attacking you if they think that might take them those numbers into their own fold. Tribes are always vying for their numbers to increase, especially with those that are skilled, capable in attacking Paradel and surviving. Just be wary of those that seem to be following along, encroaching, those that seem to be clearly scouting where it is that you are. If you happen to notice patterns that show that they are not just following behind you, but also appearing before you, those are big concerns. The good news is most of the trees that grow immediately alongside the river have already been removed, cut back a good bit. We did so for two reasons. One, we needed the supplies, and those were easy to get our hands on to send downriver to construct buildings like the one that you see here, as well as those that are down in the town below, the town just to the south of us. But also, it does give a degree of space where you might be able to see somebody coming up to the river's edge. We do a pretty good job of keeping the tree line there pushed back a good bit for exactly this purpose. So you should be able to notice things with relative ease. I'm going to give to you a very expensive piece of equipment. For the love of all that is good and holy in this world and the next, do not lose this piece of equipment unless you are losing your life. And she actually will take out a key, unlock a drawer next to her, quickly open it up, and pull out a small cylindrical leather case. She'll pop open that cylindrical leather case and remove a spyglass.
Yeah, I forgot how much those things fucking cost. I remember I tried to get one in the last campaign and looked at the cost and was like, fuck that.
She quickly holds it out, shows to you how it works, or explains to you how it works. Your character's no fool, so you understand, if not the science behind it, because that's kind of baffling to you, but you understand the premise of how to use it. And then she puts it back into the case, which, buttons shut, and then she hands it to Viggo. She hands the spyglass to Jake.
I mean, he's only
Viggo
got
is
one
actually
perception
very
so-
perceptive, but
Yeah.
as she hands it to him,
He has
looks down
flashbacks
and
of a place with a silvery background.
Oh, that's why you were laughing. That's a good point.
he'll look to Gallon and say, "Gallon." He hands it to you.
He'll
She actually
he'll-
looks and watches that happen, and you can see it's one of those things where it's under your trust. It's on your head. Like, this is on your head. So she watches you do that. She sees Gallon take it and, maybe look at it quickly and then put it away. And she looks at you directly and says, "The ut." It looks like, what's his name? Viggo, and says, "The utmost care."
Yes, ma'am. I know my men.
And Gallon would nod to her, saying, I understand.
And then she says, At this point, I suppose let's open it to a more open discussion, as you understand why it was that I had requested for you or for a crew to come here. Obviously, you were the one that was assigned by your BC. Why it is that you were asked to, or commanded to come here, what it is that your primary and secondary tasks are, as well as everything that you be mindful of. You will be properly supplied. A good amount of food, fresh water, and the like will be will be delivered with you onto the ship, as well as a capable crew brought to the ship as well. They will have the captain of the ship, which will not be you. You will be the master of the ship while you are there, and so therefore can override the captain's rule, but understand he is the captain of the ship. I would suggest for you to defer to him for all matters pertaining to the ship itself, but you would of course have final say on any matter. These are structures that you are very familiar with, Neil, but obviously he wouldn't be because he's not a boat person. She would say, beyond these basic details, is there any other information I could provide for you? Any other concerns that you might have?
All the men have crossbows, longbows.
When you say crossbows, she shakes her head almost solemnly and says, that is a technology they have never witnessed as far as we understand. Thank you so much. You love that gate, don't you?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like the key to hell. My favorite.
She drops that thing almost every time. I would say one in every 3 times she comes in, she drops it.
The gate to hell.
We know it's a busy morning for her when you just get dry raisin toast and 2 eggs.
And 2 eggs. 2 all eggs. You can't complain.
I'm not complaining. It's just a busy morning.
Viggo will say, though, if they've
Thank
never seen
you.
a crossbow, he'll say, I'll be leaving my crossbow behind then.
She does, at that point, stop and say, perhaps the 3 of you should bear into mind the suggestions, the discussions that we just had, and look over your equipment. Be mindful of what it is that you're going to bring. Hopefully, you all survive the situation and bring back everything that you have brought with you, plus significantly more information. But again, look over your equipment.
The main thing I would be bringing is my composite bow. I imagine that wouldn't be too bad, but even if the design for the composite itself, it's not something they know, it's not exactly something that's immediately apparent at what it is.
A bow is relatively normal. You don't need to check by check. Ask me for permission on items. Use your discretion.
Okay, this was me more also just checking character, because a composite bow itself, the shape, the fact that shape helps would be not something that'd be easy to realize that that's why it's working.
We also out of game know that they have superior bows to that.
Oh, they do? Okay, never mind that.
Yep, that was the bone bow I mentioned before him.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
She said it outshines composite
That's a good
longbows,
point.
everything.
Then I wouldn't have brought that up, my bad. I'm dumb. Galen isn't.
I mean, we already knew that, Tesh, so it's okay.
not
Is she the commander in charge of where we are?
No. She's just the one that's kind of like handling whatever training is happening in this particular spot and overseeing you guys. She would definitely have a because she's a CW, right? There'd be probably a few LCs in this town, as well as the BC that they report to. There's no field or high commander here. Well, there might be a field commander coming and going for training facilities, but there's no high commander here.
Yeah. I see. All right. I mean, I think we've got a plan. You know, whether it's the right one or not, we'll see.
Agreed. Stick to it. Run
She
them
know-
through.
She nods and says, only the gods know. Only the gods know. And hopefully Aravel gives you the guidance to see, peer into the darkness and see the dangers before they bring themselves to you. That being said, if you have any other questions prior to your leaving, feel free to either meet with me if I happen to be out in the middle of trading. Try not to interrupt in the middle of me directly handling drills, but between drills, so on and so forth. You're more than welcome to come and gather any information that you want. I want there to be an open decorum between yourselves and myself, because this is not a small task that you're being commanded to do. I want you to understand you have my full support in this matter. If there's anything else that you think you might need, make sure you let me know, and if it's within reason, I'll see to it that it's taken care of for you. In the meanwhile, I imagine you want to go about your actual plans, look over your supplies, get yourself situated before you leave. I have no slotted time for you to head out, but I will tell you that the soldiers that are going to be transitioning underneath your directive, though under the command of their captain, will be doing so not tomorrow, but the following morning is when their orders are. They're going to have tomorrow as leave, so it's just you're not even meeting them tomorrow, as that'll be their day of relaxation before their, let's be honest, a few of them are going to be hitting up the brothel in town.
Pretty normal thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, if you, I don't know if any of you choose to partake in such activities, but the River Rat is actually a rather nice brothel. So you're welcome to, of course, check out what they have to offer there. I'm going to perhaps be a little bit loose with my sharing of information here, but I often will go there and rent a room literally to spend a night to sleep. They have by and far the most comfortable beds you will find within leagues. The three of you awkwardly sit there like, okay.
Triss actually frowns and then like catches the frown and it goes blank.
She tries to show a little bit of humanity because she knows that you guys are more or less being sent on a suicide task. And you guys are like, bro.
All
right,
you just wait till Triss is out of the store.
So with that, if it seems like everybody's done, she says, then you have your leave. As I said, you'll not be leaving any earlier than the morning after tomorrow, but you're welcome to spend a little additional time beyond that between now and then. She does say, I will spend a little bit of time to look over your files between now and then, so if I have any additional input, I'll see to it that I provide it for you.
Can I have access to some maps of the general region that we're going to?
Very limited supply of maps that happen to exist, and a skilled cartographer is hard to get your hands on. You're welcome to look at the maps and absolutely welcome to copy them to the best of your ability, but we're not going to be able to provide for you any proper maps. And again, the reason for this being, we don't want them knowing the topography of the area. They don't necessarily know it themselves. If you do make a copy, there's a specific form of parchment that you're going to be bringing with you. It's actually a low-grade version of parchment that is very, very easily breaks down. We're talking even basic weathering tends to fall apart within a year or so. It's a very low-grade version of parchment that we have. If left out in the rain, it borderline ruins it in just that one incident. If there's rain, she says, marking where you guys happen to be.
Yeah.
But you are welcome to make a copy if you would like. Absolutely.
All right.
She says, I will assign to you my LC, and they will provide for you whatever it is that you need along matters such as that. I'll give you his contact information. You can seek him out, and he'll know you by rank and name, and provide this aid for you.
Thank you, CW.
She nods and says, "You have your leave."
Salute, and then I'll turn the leaf.
Mm-hmm.
Chris will follow.
You
Yeah,
guys go walking out.
Salute and follow. I would go with Viggo to the map situation. I'm gonna try and...
Triss is going to wait till we're maybe 50 meters away. Oh, it's nice that she's able to sleep soundly, sending soldiers into the barren lands with practice weapons. Why are we planning to fail? If they had weapons, we might not even be in this bloody situation. And then she has the gall to tell us that she goes somewhere for a good night's rest.
I don't imagine this is a simple situation. The practice weapons unfortunately make sense given the situation.
It makes sense, does it? It's the design of a bloody weapon. Doesn't matter whether it's made of wood or steel. If they get hold of them, go out there with more steel weapons and run them through. You're literally sending people out to die.
I think the whole reason why this operation is happening is because that shouldn't have been the result.
No, it shouldn't. There should have been a bunch more soldiers with weapons.
Nothing makes sense.
During this, he's been glaring at you, not because necessarily he's angry at you, but like,
oh yeah,
you see, in a mannerism similar to a horse, he blows out air through his nose and then turns away after his little rant.
Yeah, so Gallon is very much, he understands your point of view. He also understands that the way that Gallon's looking at it is not the sort of way that would convince you that it's okay. And it's more that the way Gallon sees it, the idea, what they were planning normally works, and the fact that it didn't now is why we're going to make sure it's not like a new horde that's forming, essentially.
Viggo would say, like, Tristan turns away and he would say, it doesn't make sense. Even us, our group, they've pretty much, she more or less said this is a suicide run. They expect us to die.
No. She didn't say that. I out of character said a line similar to that or whatever. But they don't expect you to die. But they do have safeguards in place should things go south.
Yeah,
yes,
Viggo would still say that though.
Okay,
it
that's
seems
fine.
that way.
That's fine.
Yeah,
and then I would say,
oh, sorry, he wouldn't interrupt. So.
Yeah. Then he would just say, this land seems to be brutal. Everything they say about these Karak seems unimaginable for somebody who grew up in Oster. So why... Tristan is right. To send them in with just practice weapons is condemning them to die against these monstrous beings. I understand the technology side of it, don't get me wrong, but
it's planning for
the
the
value
worst,
on human life, though, is not well regarded.
I think the way they look at things, if they do eventually get the ability to forge like we do, that there'll be a lot more lives lost than those lost here. I'm not saying it's an acceptable trade, but
if they do get the ability to forge metal weapons, ones of steel, ones of high-grade iron, you know what they'll end up like. Just like all the other provinces. Peridel wins every time. That's what we do. Perivel, Kraline. The fires of Peridel keep going. The fact that we're throwing men to die for the sake of a few measly pieces of steel, planning for failure is not the way that I've seen things done. You succeed, you go further and do better. Look at the River King. Was he satisfied with just being a Tarumbar? Just leading Duin? No. The rivers are his now. That's how we should be doing things here in Duin.
It's not about planning to fail. It's about planning for the worst possible situation and then hoping for better.
But if you don't have a weapon, how are you supposed to fight something?
I believe that was meant to be for whoever was guarding them and training them out there.
Well, we won't linger. When the day after tomorrow, I think as soon as we'll leave. And as you said, Tristan, we plan to succeed. And we will succeed.
Indeed. The benefit of knowing that we are now scouting information as well, Virgil can sneak good distance and sneak very well. He can at least give us some forward information before we head towards the camp if we need to get more information, but he may be able to get a look at situation numbers, raw numbers, that sort of thing.
Well, you know your Crystal, Virgil. You know his strengths and weaknesses. Use him to the best of his ability.
Will do.
All right. Let's find our quarters. We leave in 2 days.
Just with sleep.
So Galen would actually go with Viggo with the maps, because I'm going to try and auto-hypnosis memorize the map.
You go right ahead.
Or at least part of it.
Is it 100 words worth of information or something like that?
It actually has an exact amount of words. Let me bring it up real quick, because I got to get the DC anyway.
Well, considering that a picture is worth 1,000 words, sounds like you need to beat that check 10 times.
I don't think it's 100. It's more than that. Because it's like a full page of text. Where is it? Memorize 800 words of text per auto hypnosis.
You know, make the check for me twice and you can have it in your head. That doesn't necessarily mean you can share it with others, because I don't think you have anything like minor illusion, fine. But yeah.
I do not. Ooh. One very good, one not so good. The 15 is the DC for auto hypnosis.
I thought so. And there's no other modifiers beyond luck that you could use for that?
Nope.
Okay. So obviously you're able to get like put up a good portion in your head, you know what I mean? But it's not like you have all the details inside there, just like the basics and whatnot. Okay.
Of course. It's better than I would have had otherwise, so
mm-hmm. And you don't look at just one map anyways, you look at several different maps, but again, the overall idea you're able to have there. But in the meanwhile, you also have Viggo try to pencil this down to the best of his ability. You just roll a craft check for me, Jake.
Just a normal craft.
Yeah, it's craft cartography, yeah. You don't have any ranks in it, so. No. And again, this is technically speaking, DC for you is shifted because you're not spending like, days mapping this out the correct way. You just do like a quick, you probably spend like an hour or so on this sketch to the best of your ability. So again, you put up a decent map of whatnot that's there. So it's something that what's his name, Galen would be able to use to like trigger memory back and and like point to things that he remembers as being the case, even if it's not correctly marked or maybe it's not perfectly to scale or whatever it might be. He can gesture and be like, well, it's not quite how it is here, but that's fine because what we can do is we can track this way instead. That sort of a thing would be put there for you. It's also important to note that it's not like it's a complete map that you guys looked at anyways. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You could look at 6 different maps, and each map has conflicting information of the different areas. So what you end up committing to memory is you more or less pick the one that all of you kind of, it seemed like it was the newest, even though it had conflicting information with all, like, there could be something that's new on this one map that's conflicting with the 4 maps previous to it all combined, So, but either way, you just picked one and you went with that to work off of.
And you take note of what things are the same and what things aren't.
Yeah.
If there's like something that is agreed upon on all the maps, you note that down, sort of thing.
Yeah. There's one other thing I wanted to do was ask around for who the commanders are here. And you don't have to name every one, but he goes off on his own to do this and just kind of, talks to soldiers.
Are you hog-nogging? Are you like schmoozing?
This is so he can schmooze, yeah. So he can work his
probably,
way up
yeah.
the ranks. He
Okay,
can
cool.
find some.
No, I'm looking to, because my brother was once stationed in the Barren Lands, and I know that about him. I have no idea where he is or what he's doing. I'm not trying to make it obvious, and I'm not asking for him by name, but he is
Hobnogging. Not
asking who's around.
Sorry, I got pigs on my brain. You're going into the Barren Lands. I got pig on the brain. Okay. Anyways, so you so I understand what you're trying to do. So to gather information, Jake, is a diplomacy check. To gather information while trying to be discreet is a -10 to the diplomacy check.
I mean, I'm not trying to gather information discreetly. I'm specifically not asking about
Jake.
my brother. I'm just asking.
You find the commanding soldiers, the officers' names, but if you're trying to gather information discreetly, it's a
I'm not
-10
trying to
to
be
diplomacy.
discreet.
I think he means
I ain't
he's
trying
not
to do
going,
it discreetly,
"Hey, does this
but I'm
person
not
work
name
here?"
dropping. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
He's
what I'm
just
doing.
saying,
So let me
"Hmm,
so let me say this. Finding out the name of the officers that are here, pretty easy to do. That's
Yep,
not a concern.
That's all I'm trying to do.
Trying to see if you can nudge any other information out is a -10 diplomacy check.
Yeah, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to see. I wonder if he's stationed here.
All right, gotcha.
Okay.
You find out who's stationed here. You don't recognize any of the names.
That's all I needed to know.
Okay. All right. Cool.
That's all I was asking, Scott. All right.
Yeah, it's definitely hobnogging. Hobnogging. I don't know. Hognog sounds easier to say. Hognogging. This was a hobnogging. I just misspoke. My apologies. Anyways, so you guys go about doing all this. We were going to, right after that conversation ended, take a quick break. I know a couple of you guys walked off. Do you still want to take a quick break, or it's up to you? If I get one yes, we're taking a break.
I don't mind.
I'm good now as well, so let's.
Jake?
I'm good. So we
Okay,
can
let's
on
keep going.
this one.
Yes. Why do you ask? What's it called? It's History of Violence. Yeah, I know History of Violence quite well. Have you ever seen that movie, by the way, History of Violence?
Yeah,
It's so good, isn't it?
it is. Yeah,
It's
I haven't
so
watched
graphic.
it in like a long time.
You need a break between watching it because it's so horrifying. They do such a good job, and like the sounds, like the bone cracking and stuff like that. It's so good. It's a good story too. I love Viggo Mortensen. He's such a good actor. I haven't seen him in anything in ages. Anyways, at one point in time, I'm gonna have to watch Hidalgo because of both your two characters combined. I'm just gonna have to watch Hidalgo, especially going into the Barren Lands.
That was a good movie as well.
Hidalgo, yeah. Again, Viggo Mortensen, as were the Lord of the Rings movies. You know, like guy's a brilliant actor. He had a minute where he was just like crushing it. All right, so so you guys end up having the next day off. Obviously, you go around, you ask questions. Anything of note that the other two characters do, or no? Let's just push on. Cool.
I'm leaving all my weapons except for my bow behind. My bow and arrows.
Oh yeah, that's an important thing to know. You look over your equipments. Anything else that you'd want to intentionally leave behind?
I'll leave the crossbow behind.
I leave literally nothing because of this dumb fucking idea about leaving your weapons so that you don't get killed and your weapons get taken.
I like the idea that like Tristan, when they finally get on the boat, kind of looks over and goes, "Oh, did you forget your crossbow?"
Honestly, he nearly mentioned it. Was like, you should bring it, but he's not quite that subordinate.
No. I imagine it'd be one of those things. You forget your crossbow, sir? just straddle that line.
No, I'm not that good at firing it anyway. I'd probably end up hitting one of you.
I still remember how one of my first attacks as Valorant was to fire an ice beam. I can't remember what the exact tact was. Ray of Frost straight into Jake's back.
That's cold, man. That's cold.
I forgot about that.
So that next day off, that
You
you guys
remember, I just want to say something quickly. Do you remember that fucking door? How long we took
Yeah,
to that
it was
door?
just after that fucking door that I did it.
Oh man,
That door
that
really
was
was
good
like,
times. That fucking.
like we dealt with devils, we dealt with armies, we dealt with all sort of shit. And you know what gave us the most trouble?
That
Fucking door wrapped in razor wire. Like, God.
Yeah, it was the razor trap on the thing that you twist.
when we went back there later on in the future, and Rena got tetanus off of that door.
We were right to beware the door. That door was dangerous.
We're just started doing a lot of like imitation stuff, aren't we?
Well, listen, we don't
They
want
go to our
to.
door.
We
they
don't
go to
need.
our
We don't need
city.
every campaign to touch back on what goes on inside that mountain. Okay. So, anyways, pushing on that evening, the night that you have off,
Yeah,
that evening while you guys
let's
are
leave Chode Mountain to itself.
that evening, while you guys have the night off before the next day when people are given the orders to start bringing you north, and I believe Jake wanted to leave almost immediately, right? So we have the night off for you guys to kind of relax. I don't know if you guys would actually spend the evening together or separate. I don't know if you guys kind of like, screw it, let's have a beer together. If it's like, we spend a lot of time together, we literally have one day apart from one another, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and then you can kind of like dive right into it again. So I imagine your characters are actually, or at least Viggo is separated from the other two, right?
Gallon would meditate.
No, not at all. Viggo would seek them out if they.
I
were
need
busy.
friends.
Well, I mean, he's a Metahita now. He's got no family.
Oh,
He's got nothing.
oh.
Yeah, if he's invited out, Gallon would come. But if not, he will be meditating.
So Viggo would actually seek them out to specifically like, let's have a drink.
I think Trish is.
Bostas?
Viggo's offering beer.
Trish is in. Yeah.
That's why he pays for everything. He's trying to buy friends.
Oh,
Oh, oh,
Oh no.
Jake, are you the guy at the bar that always picks up the tab? Oh,
No.
I will say, I've talked many times about the many parties that we threw at our place. I hosted them, and I more often than not paid for the alcohol for the parties. Others would bring some stuff too, but I paid for the vast majority of what showed up. So, in retrospect, I think maybe I was also a little sad and pain.
Well, I bet your parties were good though. You probably had
They were-
enough things for everyone.
they
So
were
is
fantastic.
is it sad though?
Yeah, I mean, I think they went off very well. We only ever had one incident ever worth noting. So or I suppose technically 2 incidents in one party worth noting.
now you
but
have friends that you don't pay.
oh, that's true. Oh. You can talk to Mike too. Like pretty much any time we ever went out, I always flip the bill. Like we're talking like he'll openly tell that story because it's unfortunately it was most of our youth. So maybe I was that sad person. God damn it. Coming to this realization, let's move away from it. That evening while you guys are hanging out and Viggo's flipping the bill. Viggo, you're me. Flipping the bill. That's there. Imagine your characters are at a proper tavern. You spend a lot of time outside, so imagine your characters are inside the tavern. When you guys notice something while you're sitting inside the tavern, kind of like having a conversation, whatever it is. One of you goes to like lift up the beer to take a sip. I don't know if you guys are ever aware of this, but it's at least for those of us that are big beer / wine / scotch drinkers. One of the things as you go to take that sip of your beverage is you don't just like drink the drink. You actually kind of like open up your nasal passageway, so you kind of like inhale as you drink it as well. because it takes in, it's part of like the so I imagine as one of your characters are going to take a sip of the beverage, you notice that your beer smells fucking awful. It smells almost like rotting eggs or something like that. It's just fucking weird. At the same time, we'll say I don't know. Viggo would be the one because he's the one that's most likely to have training with properly drinking a beverage. It goes to take it, it's like, oh, kind of like stops for a second to take a notice of it. But as you stop to take that notice and look around, you notice that around that same time, like as you're pulling the cup away, you notice the other two are like looking about like, what is that? A couple of seconds later, you notice that everybody, like, as one of you is remarking, like, what's that smell? One of you guys noticed that that other people seem to be reacting as well, and then you realize that it smells kind of like brimstone, and then you hear there's a bit of commotion going on outside. Out of interest as to what's going on, each one of you kind of like walks out, like kind of gets up, and the whole tavern starts emptying out outside. So in the evening, you realize the evening sky is lit up crimson red. Like there is a wave of crimson red that is traveling across the sky. By the time you get out there, you notice that it's already partially into its view of this like pulse that seems to be happening across the sky overhead. As you're looking like, what the hell is that? And it travels again one time across the sky, kind of slowly, going from as far as your eye can see to as far as your eye can see one side to the next. Probably takes about a whole minute to do so. So if you showed up 20 seconds outside, you get to see the other 40 seconds of it before it's gone. And the whole area around you just smells like brimstone.
What the fuck?
Triss will
Gal-
say a prayer to Kraleen.
Gallant would actually probably say, what the fuck?
Viggo just starts documenting it.
Now it's traveling away from us.
It will just travels overhead. So at some point in time, it travels towards you, and beyond that, it's the Doppler effect of light.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So like when it is passing over, not stopping above us, right?
Correct. It's the entire sky. It's like the entire sky has. If you were more closer to the center point, you can imagine it was like a ring that went outwards. It's like a shockwave, but you're nowhere near any center point wherever this might be. So you just notice like a line of red come across the sky. For a bit of time there, it literally overtakes almost the entire sky is lit with red. Right. You can just barely see the rims of the dark blue as it's fading into nighttime around. Go ahead.
Viggo.
Sorry, go on.
Viggo, what the hell is that?
I don't know.
I would be asking Virgil.
I've never read anything about this. I've never heard anything about anything like this happening before. Can you smell that?
Horrible.
Eggs.
I would be asking Virgil in my head if he has any idea what the fuck this is. I imagine not. But like, I would be thinking nature, so he definitely wouldn't probably know what this is.
Virgil would have no clue. Not a single clue.
I would just turn to Viggo and say Virgil has no idea either. I would now start focusing on people. What's happening around us? What are the people doing around us?
So my apologies to answer that question. The people around you are reacting kind of similar to how you are. Some are freaking out. You know what I mean? Like, what is this that's going on? You can see that lots of like movement is starting to happen as people kind of like running and freaking out. You can see that some soldiers are kind of like getting ready, like as though something might be happening. But for any of you, do any of you have professional soldier or no?
Yes.
You can roll that real quick. With a much higher DC, you can somebody else could roll with sense motive if they prefer. So what you notice, Gallon, is that the people around you, they are reacting in a way like the soldiers that are reacting. It's almost like some person was like, we need to safeguard or whatever it might be, right? And everybody around that one person or that small group of people or whatever are trying to prepare themselves for what, but it doesn't seem like it's directed. It doesn't seem like they've received orders from on high. Like everybody is equally perplexed as
Someone
to
took
what's going
charge,
on.
basically.
Yeah. Some smaller would have taken charge of that immediate unit around them, but other units around us to have a clue what's going on. You very quickly get the impression that nobody here knows what this is or has seen it before.
As of note, is it heading into Paradol?
Heading into Paradol, well, everything is Paradol as to where you
As
are.
in,
But as to
like,
where it comes across the sky, why don't you go ahead and roll a survival check to know where north is?
Ooh.
It's at DC 10 to be able to gather this at this point.
I rolled a 10.
Perfect. So you're able to tell that while looking across it, it does seem as though if you had to pick the, it's a good enough trick to realize, if you had to pick the exact direction that it's traveling, it seems to be traveling southeast from northwest. Mostly traveling east. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Mostly
interesting.
traveling to east from the west, but somewhat southward as well. Almost like it's coming from, because again, the sun's setting, right? Almost like it's coming
Yeah.
from the sun.
Yeah, no, you would see Galen completely like stumped. Like he doesn't know what to do.
Viggo, obviously finishing his little notations, snaps his book closed and actually follows Tristan's lead and says a prayer out loud to both Praline and then to Lady Arabelle.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
Can I use the?
you know,
Oh, sorry, go on.
no, I was gonna say which Viggo has not seemed very religious, but
Oh,
Can I
that's a
use
good
the
point.
spyglass and look at it through the spyglass?
You have it on your person. Roll a dexterity save to see if you drop it.
I was gonna be like, you fucking do that every time.
Does chat know how much a spyglass costs and why it is they're being crazy about this?
It's fucking 1,000 gold.
1,000 gold. Exactly. 1,000 gold pieces. That is a
Yeah.
lot of money. So anyways, 10 farms worth. So anyways, you're able to look up and see it. You don't notice anything with a spyglass that you couldn't notice otherwise, aside from your whole field of view is red. But there doesn't seem to be
so
anything that's up
there's
there any
not,
different.
It's not like.
not
Yeah,
like it's
I
a-
was trying to see if it was like a cloud or something, or whether it was just the sky went fucking red.
The sky went red. Yep. And again,
That
we're
is
talking
even
we're
more
talking-
terrifying to him.
At its
honestly.
widest point, from when it kind of like rolls in, we're talking like 85% of overhead would be covered by red, with a barely, 7.5% on either side being the bluish as this wave makes its way across.
Honestly, he might join them in the prayer then, because
Yeah.
he would be less terrified if that was a swarm of something. The fact that it's literally turning the sky red, he's like, I don't know what they're praying. I guess I'll join in because what the fuck?
Yeah, when Viggo starts praying to Lady Arabelle, Triss will reach under his tunic and pull out the symbol of Lady Arabelle that her soldier should be wearing, and will join in the prayer.
The three of them hold
Actually-
hands and start, reciting their prayer in Latin.
Thoughts and prayers. Thank you very much.
Thoughts and prayers to regicide. Thoughts and prayers.
Mm-mm. Not for regicide.
I said two to regicide.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah, but like not the good, like Kraleen prayers to regicide, like flaming hot spear from the heavens, right
Oh.
into Ophius's ass.
I might quickly make note of buildings around that I'd be able to go into and change into my astral suit form.
I mean, honestly,
just
there
in
are so many
case.
people. There are
It's
people
fading,
that are.
right?
Yeah, it is going beyond. It is passing across, correct? So it does pass by, but and again, it takes a full minute for it to pass by. So it travels by quickly, but again,
yeah,
how quick?
and-
I mean, a minute at that point in time feels like a fucking hour, right? So that being
Yeah,
said,
I
the
guess
amount
it
of people around you, to be clear, Tash, they're like running into buildings or like running out of buildings,
Yeah,
even if they're
there's
buildings they
nowhere.
shouldn't belong in, because people are kind of freaking out at this point, right? So it's almost like if you lived in London and there was a Zeppelin overhead, like.
Fair enough.
Sorry, too topical. Too topical?
I guess we wait. Like, I guess we pray and wait and see what happens. Because what the fuck?
So as it starts to fade, and after we've done our stuff, I'll look like I assume the tavern's door is probably like wide open.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even looking into the
many-
tavern, you can even
I
see
was
that
gonna
because the
say.
bartender themselves also looked out. Somebody inside the tavern has absolutely reached across, has not come out to see what's going on, and definitely grabbed a bottle. You saw them reach across, grab a bottle, and then walk back over to the table where they were sitting before, waiting for everybody else to come in.
Yeah, well, Viggo had the similar idea. if everybody was still kind of looking out.
You walk up to him and be like, "Hi! Hand over that bottle immediately. I am a commanding officer here." Thanks. You walk, confiscate, walk up like a cop with some coke. Like, I'm not going to write you. I'm not going to write you, cite you for this one, but you're going to confiscate that from you. Brings it to a party later on.
Sells it to some kids.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't have that in your countries?
God.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We don't have police.
But anyways, continue.
Alright, what's the... Looking for like a bottle of water or something. Like, like something substantial, like an actual big bottle or some type of huge mug.
Like a jug or something. Yeah. It's not like they
Yeah.
have a running tap. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I find one?
Inside the tavern, sure.
Yeah. I'm going to pick it up.
Sure.
Go and sit down.
Sure.
Look at that beer and be like, and then I'm going to drop one of the tears to wine in there.
Sure.
And pour myself some wine.
Yep.
And I'm just going to sit there and be like,
This is fine.
Everything's fine.
This is fine.
Oh, so good. So good. Oh, that's so funny. Oh. Anyways, so what do the two of you do as your commanding officer? After you guys all kind of like share a prayer, he turns around and just like walks inside and grabs a jug. I don't know if you two of you even follow like with him with your eyes or yourselves, or if you stay out there continuing to watch until it finishes passing by.
Galen would want after he saw that it was literally the sky turning red. He's locked on it.
Okay.
He'd like look and then look and then walk in, like empty his mug of beer on the floor, and then just pour himself a mug of wine and down it.
Yeah. After it's fully disappeared.
Viggo will
and,
refill
like,
your cup after you're done.
After it's fully disappeared and there's like no sign of it, like the sky turns back to what it was, that's when Galen would go back in and he would do something similar. And he would actually drink the whole thing.
So I imagine that that Viggo went in there, got the jug, sat down, poured himself a glass, and then that's when you kind of like a second or third glance back and into the place. What's his name? Tristan would probably. It's just like, good idea, and like goes in there with him and dumps the mug onto the ground and fills it up with the wine. And then I imagine after the sky turns back to being blue overall, it's Galen who stands out there for like the additional like 20 seconds or so, just kind of like staring off at the blue, but where the red had disappeared to, just like, and then looks and sees the two of them drinking and is like,
Yes, need that right now.
it's like one of those times where after like a a good Quidditch match or whatever you play in your countries, you lost a hard game. Anyways, you guys would sit there and kind of have, I don't know if you discussed it at all, but the conversation around you as people start filtering back in, is what the fuck was that? Do you think that was it a sign of the gods? Things like that. This conversation kind of happening around you. Someone else thinks, I think the Barren Lands are going to attack us. You idiot! That was the West. And there's like tons of conversation, very excited. Some people kind of like arguing. Tensions are very, very high. Emotions are very, very high. So people are kind of like on an edge at the moment. You know what I mean? Be a great opportunity for a bard character to step up and, alas.
No, we're all just like, what the fuck? Let's drink that away. We want to not remember that, please.
Yeah, I mean, Tris will have downed his first mug, and then he'll be sitting there like staring into it. Clearly, very deep in thought for Tris.
Viggo would absent-mindedly just refill your mug, while he's drinking very different to you. Like he does have the mug kind of held a certain way, and he's kind of he's sipping it, and it's like that you can tell he's not really aware so much of what's going on around as what he's thinking about in his own head.
So you guys are, of course, sitting there and just kind of taking it in, just trying to absorb what's happening. Maybe you can ask Command about it either later on today or in the morning. A bard does eventually kind of stand up and tries to belay concerns and whatnot, and puts out a little bit of a show.
Bastard Rena deserves what she gets. Bastard Rena deserves to die. Bastard Rena deserves what she gets. That bastard Rena deserves to die. Turn the music up. Turn the music up. Turn the music up. Turn the music up. That bastard Rena deserves what she gets. That bastard Rena deserves to die. That bastard Rena deserves what she gets. That it's over 9,000.
Alright, so this bard's got this pre-apocalyptic party going.
Yeah,
Alright.
pretty good to be fair.
Alright.
Oh, free apocalyptic party. That's hilarious. All right. I feel like that's what you gotta call like a birthday party for Tyler. Like pre-apocalypse
It
party.
really makes you understand how much of a good guy Raren was, Always had the greater good in mind, this Regicide crew.
Was that because I
Norway, would you like me to send you the link for the call so you could come in and share your thoughts on that opinion? On that matter? Like, do you want to hop on the call? I'm just kidding.
So I'm willing to bet Norway would choose Raren over Rena.
You know what? Sometimes the best choice is or. All right. Anyways, so your characters kind of like watch as other people. You. So you guys are able to sit there and kind of like witness everybody else kind of like freaking out as having your own almost like internal freak out, a little bit less outward, with kind of like being exasperated, certainly having your drinks, chugging it down like Neil is right there, like fervorously, like chug down that wine.
What he would add, one thing that you guys would note, because he wouldn't be hiding it from you so much as making sure no one else saw him at least create it. He would have one of his crystal. The lesser crystal shards, just the little ones, just in his hand, and he's just holding it and looking at it. And whenever he's sort of absently, whenever he's got like a blank look on his face, he's sort of fiddling with it.
Almost like the idea because of like how it's produced and like your powers, and whatnot. It's almost like one of those things where I can't remember what movie you saw it in, but more or less you can like almost hold it in your open hand and it hovers like a half inch. Like a centimeter or whatever off of your hand, and you can almost like just make it spin, like freely spin inside your hand while it's sitting there.
Unobtainium stuff that like floats.
Yeah, what did you just say?
Unobtainium from Avatar, when it floats on the thing and it like he moves around.
Yeah. Which is like super cool, right? Yeah. So it's almost like you can almost like a fidget spinner in your hand. Yeah.
I was imagining it as he's fidgeting with it out of just he needs.
His nerves. His nerves are shot right now. There's all sorts of chaos happening. So,
speaking of that, I don't think during the bard's good performance, the drinks just aren't doing it for Viggo. They're not doing what there's quite a shot here. So whenever that's just alcohol just isn't
into
working.
his wallet, pulls out a little white bag.
Oh, hang on. He's going to hallucinate.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my god.
Pleasant hallucinations, lights, music. He's gonna distract himself. He's gonna have a party of one.
I love Viggo so much.
He's just like, peace out.
I love that you can just do that.
I'll be back later.
There's so many good things on that. Dude.
It lasts for what,
It's
an
great.
hour? It's like an hour, right? So more or less, this person is putting on this performance, and Viggo just produces his polypurpose panacea, which this particular version of the polypurpose panacea, by sheer coincidence, happens to be a mushroom.
Turn the music up. Turn the music up. Turn the music up. Turn the music up.
Lasers that haven't been invented yet, you know what I mean? But that's what's happening.
Yeah.
There's a light show going on for sure. Viggo definitely tips the guy. Put it that way.
You two need to make a sense motive check.
We're gonna have to carry him home.
Tristan has no clue. He's just like, right then. What is it, the commander? He's lightening up a good bit. Yeah. I'm glad to see BT's having himself some fun. And then Callan's over there did he just eat what I think what I think he ate?
Like, oh. It's like just realizing a lot of things about Viggo in one perception roll.
It's like when you see your friends take like a pill and you're like, oh, they must have a headache or something like that. And then your other friend gives your friend a look and you're like, what's that all about? Strapping Molly. Anyways, that's actually the name of the band that's playing right now. It's Dropkick Molly. So,
You're gonna have to book them again.
all right. Anyways, was it ship it out? Ship it out to barren lands. All right. Anyways, too much fun. Molly whopped. Oh my God, Green.
Vance used that term in the Aurorum community. He said someone got mollywopped.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I was like, what?
When was that?
The most recent one.
Oh,
Right near the beginning.
Oh, is it at the beginning? I was gonna say because I still haven't finished it. I got through the first two parts. I didn't get through the last. I got maybe 20
it really
minutes
stuck out
left.
to me because I was like,
left.
what the fuck?
Oh, that's funny.
Aurorum community.
I've heard it as well.
I commented on it.
Molly Wop said.
I've just got to scroll
I
through
don't
Josh
like
just chatting a bunch of crap.
Josh is a shit poster. He doesn't post anything worth reading. Especially since he never texts me back about setting up plans for us to hang out with or without our kids involved. So that's cool. If Jake lived near here, we would hang out. If Jake lived near here, we'd be chilling. No, just saying. Saying Jake is a higher tier Josh. Saying. Moving on.
Anyway,
Norway says we need more paragons of good.
I'm just saying that Jake is above from down under. Okay. So, you guys,
you'd get down under with Jake.
I mean, they go and call it a bushwalk for nothing.
Jesus. What happens if your beard gets tangled in the bush though, while you're out on your bushwalk?
Then you have the fun of detangling. Oh. That's what you call in the third, Neil. Be like, hey Neil, we need something sharp to all right, so let's keep going. Chat's cringing right now. And to which Sal says, true.
All right, let's get back on track.
It's funny because he's a zoomer. It's just like that term, like true, poggers, all of that. I love it.
Again, I say all the time, I want either an emo of him down in the corner being like true with like the word true like trailing out of his mouth.
Spewing out, yeah.
right? Either
Yeah,
that or
you.
either that or like the more you know, but it says true, and he's like sitting on the star.
Pardon me.
I like it. I like the true emote.
Right? I've
You're
told him I was
missing
like,
that in your repertoire.
you need to hire an artist to get these emotes done. I was like, I think he is he actually an affiliate now? Is he able to unlock emotes yet? I don't remember. I think he
I don't
did.
know. Why
I
don't
think
you
he did.
ask him on War? Why don't you ask him on Warmonger?
No, I think he did because I think I give subbed emotes. Subs
In-
onto him before. Yeah, he has emotes. Oh, he has emotes now. Ah, I'll have to check out his channel afterwards. All right, sorry, my apologies. Back to game. Or if any of you have the emotes, if you could spam them in chat. So let's promote Little Celsior. So you and I can say he's Little Celsior because it's true. All right.
You got a fixation with these young newbar boys, man. It's
Oh
not
my
a good
God.
thing. Like now, I'm getting a bit older. He's like,
Let's,
he's something you want to move on to.
Oh,
It's funny because it's true.
Oh no! Oh god! Oh, dear.
Oh, all right. Oh, all right. I'm sorry. Oh. We're laughing with him, not at him. Now that we
course not.
said those words, must be.
No, like
all right.
it's not like we're gonna make fun of an entire generation, is it?
I still have millennial scars. Okay. I still have the scars. Moving on. Paper
What scars
cuts,
from a millennial that you got in like a boomer versus millennial fight?
I meant society shitting on millennials like we're trash, but that's okay. I'll get locked. So you guys are you get through the next couple of hours. I think Jake makes two polypurpose panaceas to get through the 2 hours, and eventually you're going to go and I guess no other words are really shared between. I think it's one of those situations where you just kind of decide, right then, and then you go to bed at night. In the morning, do you address this issue at all when you head down by like the dock area where the Centaurian happens to be? Do you address this with her at all, or no? Vistra?
Oh, definitely. We would definitely ask. What is she's a CW, right?
Correct.
CW.
She looks at you. You can tell that she has she's rubbing her eyes, much like I am, because she had very little sleep last night, much like I did. So.
The sky last night. Do you know what it was?
She shakes her head. No. I haven't the slightest, and I have asked about to the commanders to see if anybody knew anything. No information has been brought to me. I have not been explained. I have no answers for anybody else. Nobody has a clue, as far as I know, as to what that was, what could have caused it, or anything to that matter. The fact that it came from the west, is a bit promising. If I might be so bold as to be optimistic, that means that likely it came from Paradel. Likely it is something that we are doing. So more than likely it's something that is not a danger to us.
No.
You can tell that she doesn't fully believe her words. Like, it also could have been a massive explosion.
He doesn't. He doesn't believe it either. So
Yeah.
it's one of those. You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows.
The troubles I've seen, nobody knows my sorrows.
Yeah. It's pop another one of those. That says, eh?
She's like, "Oi, confiscation." Walks off, eats the mushroom, but you like canceled the spell first, and she's like, "Whoa, tastes awful." Not what I thought it was.
Maybe it's supposed to taste that way.
But continue.
Oh, I mean, that's it about that.
Okay. So she's like, everything else is underway. From what I understood from the what you had suggested to us prior, that you are heading out this morning. The soldiers that are under your commands are prepared to travel with you. She does say, I went ahead and made sure that there were a few extra soldiers put on board with you to make sure that you have they can be appropriately guarded. We don't need a repeat incident, especially if they're a little bit emboldened with their prior success.
Thank you for that. I'm sure they will be needed.
So when you guys go to join onto your boat,
Can I actually ask her? Can I actually ask her if we can, if they have like a priest of Lady Aravel
there are several
in the place?
There are several priests about either in the town, stationed up here, et cetera, et cetera.
After last night, if I may seek one out to ask them to say a prayer with us before we embark, and might embolden some of the men.
Well, I think you were looking to head out now, so you want to seek them out to have them say something like in the next hour or so?
Yeah.
She nods and says, I'll have my LC look into that for you.
Thank you.
And she will go and take care of that. Cool. So, anything else you guys want to do before you kind of head off immediately?
Just would
I don't
introduce
believe so.
yourself to the men and women. The
Okay.
crew.
So when you go to see the when you go to see the crew, I think I remember the name of it. So I was just trying to find a particular. No, that's two, because there's a keel boat, which I often describe it as, but there's another form of boat that's really good for rivers as well. But I can't remember the name of it in D&D for me to put it there, but it tends to have a deeper hull for deeper rivers. But either way, so when you guys go to approach the boat and you see the full command that you have there, including the few extra soldiers for defense that are provided, you realize there's 7 soldiers that are going with you, meaning that all of you together make the grand total of 10 people.
Quite a force. Will probably be noticed.
A grand total of 10 people.
Displaying the overwhelming might of the Peridot army there.
Yep. With a grand total of 10 people. The boat that you guys are going to be going in, it does, of course, have a primary, and it has 2 secondary masts. One that kind of like leans forward and one that kind of like is a little bit in the back for the catching that auxiliary winds, or catching winds at a slight angle for the forward momentum. You kind of catch the wind at a bit of an angle, right? So you guys can utilize winds that might be blowing northward. And you can also see that the boat is designed with lots of oars for moving. You can imagine that they intend to partially oar their ways through there, et cetera, making their way northward, whatever. So you also have the ship itself is going to be situated with area down below. You easily be able to bring the horses so that they could be stable there without concern. There's a lot of supplies brought on the ship, more than enough supplies for the 10 of you to survive out here for well over a month. So that's more than enough supplies for how long you should be expected to be inside here, right? So tons of supplies. It's not like you sat there and checked every little bit of the itinerary, of the ledger of what's being brought on, right? But maybe even 2 months worth of supplies, which is a good thing. Either way, so when you go in there and you go try to introduce yourself to the sailors, you can see that all of the sailors are a bit dour. They're a bit downtrodden at the moment. The only one that seems to have their wits about them is the one that's going to be commanding over them. The captain of the ship happens to be of a slightly higher rank than you. They're going to be a battle centurion. Obviously not an LC, right? They're going to be a battle centurion that's going and presiding over these other people. So anyways, they are going to go walking with you. But again, you are master of the like, this is your task, right? Still follow your command in this.
Something to note, thinking about it, realistically, given the mission and how we're going about this, I think Gallon would essentially decide that from now onwards, he's going to be in crystal suit form. So he would be boarding the ship in crystal suit form.
Okay, sure. So you go walking up his crystal,
acting like it's something he applied before today, like as in overnight, to then come onto the thing. Acting like, so from the moment he was woken up, he the second he left his room, he would be in crystal suit form and never not take it off again afterwards.
So the you imagine there's a little bit of a reaction from her when she sees you this way. She's like, well, that's quite the get up you have. Yeah, that's a mild interaction, but nothing that we really need to bear into because it's not pertinent as of right now. But she definitely was caught off guard by this because she has no idea who you guys, like what your abilities are, right? So anyways, you would kind of go in there, gather up your supplies, see everything that's there. Your horses are able to be brought on. Neil, to see if there's any incident, why don't you go ahead and roll me a handle animal check? So with your 10 total, you're able to get, what's her name on there? No problem. Wagner? I don't know, whatever it is. Waiter. Able to get Waiter on there with relative ease. Blinders on, guiding her. You have to a couple of small commands. You almost have like a little stick that you use, like tap her feet as you're walking with her. You have to like lift her feet to actually keep walking. You know what I mean? To get her to keep going forward and eventually down below deck, constantly kind of cooing to calm her down. At first, you have Viggo trying to like feed her small bits of apple to keep her happy as you go, but Viggo is not the best with this sort of a thing. So eventually, one of the other crew members come over to help you as well, so you can get her underneath. However,
then comes Braga.
would somebody in chat, Neil, choose somebody in chat to roll a D100 for me.
Oh no.
Let's go with Ashen Phoenix.
We're going with Ashen Phoenix. High is bad. It is a D100. Let's wait this one out. And the roll is right about now. That was not accurate. Usually Ash is doing other things, so he has to click back to the tab to type it in.
Yeah.
And you can choose.
Give him a couple more moments.
You can choose somebody else in case he doesn't do it in time, so the other person can be prepared.
Let's have Sil do it. Seeing
Go ahead,
he's
Steve.
already typing it all out.
See if we beat you, we take his one. Otherwise, if Steve's doing it, low is bad.
I love how you know what to do for each.
Changing the rules, man.
The amount of time it took you to write okay then. Yes.
You fucking knew.
Yes. Yes, Steve, my boy. My boy, Steve. Oh, my boy. All right. So with a 7 rolled on a D100, what ends up happening is I should have Twitch chat like right in the display right beneath where Viggo is for whatever I asked chat to roll things, so at least that could be seen. But I also don't want the distraction on the overlay. Anyways, with the 7 there, you're trying to bring him on board, and he is being difficult, to say the least. You're trying to get him to walk across it's a short and wide boarding plank that you use to get him off it on the boat, right? But that doesn't change the fact that he is freaking out so much. he ends up turning the plank sideways and falling into the water. He literally falls into the river below. Neil, reflex save.
Oh, am I really that stupid? Like, am I really going to try and force him up if he's freaking out that much?
He's pulling. He doesn't probably freak out. He just fights against you. It's not like he's like,
Yeah,
he's fighting against you.
In that case, I just mount him and ride him up because I'm a cavalier.
Oh, you can do that
The
afterwards.
DC's halved.
So,
I mean, he's a horse. He's not going to be fine after a fall into water like that.
yeah. So it's a little fall. Keelboats are low boats. They're made for rivers, not the ocean. So they don't have to deal with things like tide.
Yeah, but we're also a huge boat against
Oh
a
yeah.
plank.
Yep.
Like, we're talking a plank to sustain a horse as well.
Correct.
So like he's just fallen into the gap between a boat.
Yep.
And a stone.
Oh, I'm
like,
aware. I'm aware. So Carrick falls down, and unfortunately,
no,
falls
not
in.
Carrick.
Oh,
Sorry, Braga
Carrick.
falls into the water. Unfortunately, falls into his just. Well, he's stubborn as a mule. Falls into the water and whatnot, leading you to have to then drag him out of the water. The thing kind of freaking out, trying to calm the damn thing down, so on and so forth. As it's again doesn't have the proper training and somebody went economy for their travel. You know, that's why I always fly business class.
I have 6 gold.
I have never flown business class. That shit's expensive. I've never even gotten bumped up to business class because I don't have loyalty points anywhere because shit, that thing's expensive. So anyways.
Yeah, no, I've never done it either.
So you're eventually able to get him out of the water. Why don't you go ahead and roll a heal check for me real quick?
Me.
Yes.
I'm not trained in heal.
That's okay.
I'd rather roll a wild empathy check.
Wild empathy is not going to tell you whether or not they're injured. I can't see right now because my glasses are off.
Heal's not going to tell him whether or not they're injured because he can't tell because he's not trained in heal. He's not going to see the signs of the internal damage that may occur.
Heal doesn't require training to hit a higher number. It's not like knowledge where you have to be trained in it to get a higher number. At least I'm almost positive.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not a trained only skill. We get a 2 total. So I mean, again, you're no fool. You can tell that most likely the mule is injured from the fall alone. Like that's just basic logic. But you can't tell exactly how injured the mule is. At this point, it's up to kind of like you and Gallon. Do you want to try to get the mule on here again, utilizing the tactic you had mentioned, just ride it up, or
it might be lame. I'll just take it and just pick it right in the head. You know, just done. That's it. No, of course I'm going to ride it on. I mean, I would have done that in the first instance, but you maybe do handle animal, a single roll for 2 actions.
We could do that. We could do that in the first instance. And then you fell. You fell as well. Actually, you did because of the dexterity save. You reflex save. You fell as well, but you didn't take any damage from the fall. It's just you were sopping wet and now agitated. Eventually, you were able to get the damn thing on board with there being incident, unfortunately, and it causing a distraction and a lot of, let's just say, people saw this. People witnessed this happening, and the commander trying to take the opportunity to make a note of this. We'll actually turn to those that are kind of like on-looking, like the other Inclime soldiers that are being trained and whatnot, watching this, and loudly likes to make an example out of the situation, and understands this is why it is that those who wish to be members of the River Guard will always be issued a horse, a proper steed to ride, for maintaining the safety of the safety of our lands and those that touch them. A mule is a great animal for having back home.
It's just as good. It just hasn't been trained to go on a ship. It'd be just like if you had someone walk on a ship, having never been on a ship before. Do you see them walk along straight? They haven't got their sea legs. He's never done this before.
So he starts giving guff to her in front of all the recruits that she was trying to almost like turn the situation of a chuckle fuck into being something that's a little bit more productive. And so because you interrupt like the lesson that's going on.
This is where Gallon's just sitting there silently, just like.
She turns, looks at you, not very happy. For the first time, she actually gives like a genuinely aggravated face. Again, she's tired. She gives you a very aggravated face and says, "You are dismissed. Handle your task, soldier." And then turns back to go walking back into the those that are under her commands to be trained.
He makes a rude gesture once her back's turned.
Oh, well, I gotta go ahead. Just give me 1 second. What's an appropriate number?
Oh no!
He does not pick it up off of the reaction of those that she's walking towards. She does not realize that the rude gesture. You got away with that one, scot free. I wonder what the origin of the word scot free is. I imagine it's something to do with Britain being prejudiced against their neighbors, but I don't know the origin of that phrase. I imagine it's not part of a Charmin campaign against a different tissue brand. So you guys are able to climb onto the boat and finally start heading north. Oh boy. As you're heading north up there, I don't know if there's anything else you guys go over or are you good? Then briefly, as you guys are heading north up there, one of the things that you'll notice is this is the last large town you'll see heading upwards, but certainly not the last town that you'll see heading north from Aurorum, seeing that there are different border towns and whatnot along the way, until finally you actually see a sign posted on the side of the river that suggests, as you kind of like see a town up ahead, you see a large sign is literally posted along the river. It says, "This is the last town before the Barren Lands." Literally has that posted there. This is the last town before the Barren Lands. This is the last stop. You may travel north. What it says right there. You know, by order of the River King, sort of a thing, right? Obviously, you guys have orders, command, and whatnot to be able to go through there. And it was also suggested to you back in McGlynn that you'd want to utilize this town to get any additional information that you can start gathering for your trek moving forward, or any last second supplies that you might need for your trek moving forward. So that's kind of like where we'll pick up when we play the session next time, is doing that. I've been running a little bit late to work lately, and I'd like to not show up to work 5 minutes late like I usually do on this. So why don't we kind of stop here, because it makes no sense to go any further without being a snowball effect into a bunch more stuff. And I do have to pee. I didn't take a break earlier beyond situating Rory and microwaving a day-old cup of calf. So that being said, Tesh.
Hello. Hi, I'm Tesh of the Test Tube. You can find me under that name. Let me do a little thing here. Find me under that name on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Follow me on Twitter to keep up to date on all the things I'm doing, like this or other D&D games. Follow me on Twitch for Fallout 76 at the moment. On my sad day, my Sunday, America's sad day, I'm going to be playing some more Fallout 76. I decided to give it a go because it was free weekend and on sale for much cheaper than it usually is. I'm enjoying it so far. There are definitely massive flaws I have issues with. Massive design decisions. Yeah. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. That, Ark, and Destiny, and Warframe.
All right. Warframe, I know I download. I always forget which ones I've actually played before, but one day, Tesh, one day in the future, you and I are going to actually play video games together and have fun. I know technically we did play once.
I agree.
But one day, and I hope my plan is, like, I don't know. I always say we reevaluate in the summer and the winter. You know what I mean? My hope is my big reevaluation this upcoming February. You know, kind of start like really looking into the short term adjustments. You know, I won't lie. I actually even started looking at things like going through the health connector to get health insurance when transitioning to a part-time versus, because if you're not a full-time employee out here, almost no employers offer health insurance for part-time employees. You have to be full-time or you get nothing.
It's So weird.
Yeah.
So good. I hate that the jobs are connected to your insurance.
Well, it's funny too because if you go through the Health Connector, like how much you have to pay. Like for me, the worst insurance I can get through the Health Connector was like about $350 a month is what you'd pay for health insurance. For health coverage, mind you, you still have out of pocket expenses and whatnot beyond that. The higher tier health insurance, which I don't really need that stuff because I'm actually healthy and whatnot, but the higher tier stuff is about $750 a month. You can go higher than that too. You can be upwards like 900 or whatever. But that's like, again, I don't have health concerns where I need anything like that. And then dental and visuals beyond that. But that's also, you're looking at maybe both of those combined is like $40, $50 a month for both of those combined. So, whereas what I pay with
I get both of those and more for like $30 a month.
Yeah, I was gonna say with my employer for all three combined, I think I pay a month about 110 because it's just me, and then Brittany has her and Rory under her own insurance. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, it's crazy too because as I've said before, you know what's funny is that both Brittany and I, our jobs offer health insurance, right? Because we're both full-time employees. If either one of us chooses to go on the other one's health insurance, it's actually now okay that companies, it's passed that it's okay that companies can charge you a fine. So if both of you are eligible to get your own health insurance and you choose to go through your spouse's health insurance instead, you will be fined an additional, I think it's $200 a month. For you, or it's either $200 a month or $200 a pay period, or which is for us is every other week. So it's either $200 or $400 a month you pay a fine for using your spouse's insurance instead of your own when you have your own option. Yeah, it's welcome to America. Yeah, I know it's insane. And the funny part is too. Let's assume I dropped to part time and went onto her health insurance. The price that it would go up. The amount that she'd be paying more for going to family versus one employee plus child, the price difference is about $450 a month. So it's actually better for me to do my own individual one through like what we call the Health Connector in Massachusetts and get shit insurance than it is for me to go through her own health insurance, which is also kind of shit, because it's cheaper that way for effectively the same. It's crazy. It's just absolute insanity. But yeah, anyways, so back to one day test video games. Jake,
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah, we're doing things in Warmonger. There will be a really interesting fight that we'll start off with next week. So yeah, definitely catch that. And then it's, I think, the end of the Kingdom rolls. We have the Nick's and then mine. And yeah, then we're going to move on to some story stuff. So things coming.
Story stuff's always happened. It never stopped happening. It's just big elements happening, like kingdom setting stuff, and then we can finally like slide into more individual personal stuff. I won't lie, setting up those little rooms that I did over in that campaign, so it makes it a little bit more like it makes you want to lean more into the advisor conversational stuff. Like, and that's kind of like one of the reasons why I wanted to set up is for my brain to compartmentalize it. I don't know if you two have seen this at all, Tesh and Neil, but the short version is there's effectively 4 meeting rooms. I'm going to change the style of one of them, by the way, of the Vosk one. But there's effectively 4 meeting rooms for the 4 different kingdoms that are of note inside there, where they meet. And since each of the 3 PCs have their own advisors, there's like 40 NPCs to keep track of just advisors, right? Mm-hmm. So instead I have like 3 meeting rooms for each of their 3 kingdoms, and each meeting room has just their advisors as tokens inside the meeting room that you can kind of have sitting around like a cute little table or whatever it is. So we can keep track of who's actually in the meeting and who isn't. So I know who to chime in as for the sake of RP and whatnot. So it's,
yeah, I saw you doing a bit of it on a stream.
Yeah, it's tough. I won't lie.
Or ambush.
Well, as Nick said, yeah, Nick accused me, and he's like, well, now that you made battle maps. Whoa. Anyways, all right.
We play cold hours.
Anything you care to note, Neil? Actually, you can announce what's important for the next few, because I have to decide how I'm handling this. But
yeah. So I start nursing placements next week, so I won't actually be here for 4 weeks as the first approximate guess.
Yeah, as
Unfortunately.
So in the interim, because I just discovered this right before we went live, it's one of the things we were chatting about before we went live earlier. So I don't know if I'm going to try to get a what's sort of looking for here. If I'm going to find a sub-in,
A guest.
like a guest to play as like one of the soldiers that went along with them to come on the task and allow Tristan to be like, I'm going to see to it that these soldiers are like kind of like almost like an argument between him and Viggo happens about the safety of the soldiers. And like Viggo's like, fine, then your responsibility is to see to it that they live, and gives him the commands to stay on the boat and guard the river guard, like sort of a thing. I don't know how high angry it might get, but you know what I mean, like that sort of a situation taking place, because that actually makes a lot of canonical sense for why that might happen. And then have a guest sub in as that other person. Jake also suggested maybe doing like a fun little like a mini campaign, like a 1 to 4 session like mini series, which I don't know if I want to do that because it kind of interrupts the flow of what we're doing, and I got to make overlays for it and whatnot. So a couple of different options that I'm really going to weigh out and kind of decide for this upcoming few sessions. So stay tuned. Right? So
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'll find out before next Wednesday, but you'll probably find out on Wednesday.
Or, hey, we already have the Keymaker overlays. We go and do a short Aurorum God War and bring back Grishka and Ilan for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
And it can be like, welcome, chosen. We have a new mission for you. You must fight a god, but this is a god baby, and it is in the realms of the devils. You must remove its power from them immediately. And then we send them in like a crack squad, and they do the baby in proper, like, you know, not like those other guys did with their like, ooh, brimstone axe. You know, they do it the
next
old.
Week,
they do it the
the
old-fashioned
return
way.
of Ilan and Grishka confirmed. Thank you, Scott. Take us out.
Woo! Aurorum God War.
Just like me writing V Sword Dancer across my forehead, right?
Well, you did agree to that, actually, so really you should probably refund all those subs. I mean, it's up to you, mate.
That's just something you can't even do that if you
All the
wanted
ones
to.
you don't have
Like,
to.
we either see that picture later on Discord, or you're gonna have to send some money to Vsword, because it's just, you know.
Neil,
All right, fine.
Ollie,
Since we didn't specify which head, I guess we got to it's onlyfans.com /bad choices. Onlyfan.com/bad choices. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right. Wow, I've got ample room here. Who else wants to write? Who else wants to write on my head? 5 head. That's what I mean. Because ample. Yeah.
Ample.
I think
Ample.
Steve also donated.
Yeah,
5,
he did.
so-
Steve definitely needs to be up there.
Yeah.
Steve's up there. Yeah.
So, anyways,
And it'd be great for like when someone asks you a question at work and you turn around and it says Silencio.
yeah, this is Silencio Dancer, right? Silencio Dancer. Well, actually, you said you finally watched Bo Burnham's new special. Remember the white woman's Instagram where she has like bitch, hate, all that stuff on one side, and the other side it's like it's like love, strength, tranquility. God, that is probably my favorite song. I think White Woman Instagram is my favorite song of the whole thing. Though obviously the internet one is a really good one too. But the only bad one is the calling mom one. I'm like, ugh. Such a. But anyways, all right. Let's get out of here. Is this
See you
heaven?
Not soon, guys.
Or is it a white woman? A white woman's Instagram. White woman's. A white woman's Insta. Nobody's live. Oh.
Some people don't know the context, so.
Who's somebody I can read?
Time in Russia. Look for that.
No, Russian. No. Niet.
Yeah.
All right, see everybody in about 27 minutes over on the Discord. Here's the Discord link. So we do our post-show chatter.
God, do you
Usually
remember
Tesh
last
is
time
sleeping.
where you didn't turn out until way too
Yeah,
late?
a work thing actually popped up. Like a legit work thing popped up that I had to take care of before I even left my house. So But anyways,
He's lying to you.